Alright guys, welcome to the first day of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament. I am Cyber Owl, joined by my cohort Tasty Bacon. How are you doing tonight, Tasty?
How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. I am super excited to get this tournament kicked off. For anyone that doesn't know, this is a $10,000 prize tournament that is being held for amateur teams all across North America, and everyone's playing for that big grand prize at the end. The last portion of this tournament is going to finish up at the League of Legends East Coast Convention, also known as L.A.S.T, being held down in Virginia. So make sure you check that out, esportshq.com/LEC2. We'll have all the information that you need about the convention, and you can also find the information about the tournament and everything you could ever possibly want on there. For now, though, we are getting ready to get into our first game of the tournament, kicking things off right away. This is a Division A matchup between, it is Darkest Night Gaming and Legendary Threats.
It's going to be really interesting to see these guys play. Not too many well-known names here, but as you can see, we do have a wide variety of people playing in this tournament. We have some diamonds, we have some plats, some silver, some golds, and really these solo queue rankings may or may not mean anything because this is a team game at the end of the day, and that is what's going to really pull these teams ahead of each other in terms of the standings. So
yeah,
between these two teams,
you could even have someone who just does, played a couple of games of ranked and then does nothing but play in ranked 5s. So their solo queue ranking doesn't necessarily reflect what they are in the actual in their actual skill level. And of course, as you mentioned, the team aspect of the game is such an important thing. A team that's been playing that may be less, worse players in terms of solo queue, but have been playing together for a lot longer, can still very easily beat a team that's slightly higher solo queue ranked, but haven't really been playing together very long. We are, of course, now getting into the picks and ban phase of our first match. We see Aurelia and LeBlanc being taken away. We do have, it is, I believe we have, I want to say it is Darkest Night on the blue side with Legendary Threats on the red.
So right now we see a lot of these really big power picks. That Malzahar ban definitely probably a targeted ban towards maybe Kalento. But Nidalee, Aurelia, LeBlanc Vi, all very strong in the current meta. Wouldn't surprise me to see maybe Sejuani being banned out here, as she is one of the strongest junglers in the current patch, thanks to her W. But those nerfs are coming.
Yeah, Malzahar being taken away. We're just waiting to see what the last ban is going to be here from Legendary Threats. It is actually the Sandra, another very, very strong, very frequently picked champion, being taken off the board. And then Thresh very quickly locked in there by Mad Cow 457.
So the Thresh pickup is actually really good, considering that he is pretty much the biggest playmaking support currently, and not surprising to see him picked up. However, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the red team's choice of a support, because with them having Thresh, it might not be surprising to see them go for maybe a Nami or a Janna, because basically those two are the biggest disengaged supports and do very well against Thresh, both in the lane and during the team fight phase.
Apologies for the technical difficulties currently going on with the stream, guys. We're struggling to get other features set up, and it took a lot longer than we thought, but we think you'll definitely enjoy them, as we do see the Scion and Morgana getting locked in there for Legendary Threats. But unfortunately, because of that, a couple other minor things slipped through the cracks, like getting this overlay set up. So that's being taken care of behind the scenes as it's happening.
However, it will get better as time goes on, and as we could see, Purple Team will go ahead and pick. Looking briefly, though, look at the picks on the red team. We see Sion and Morgana both picked up. Sion, obviously, potentially a very strong top laner right now. Could also go in the jungle thanks to the changes to the jungle items with the new Singder Hulk item. However, with that Sejuani, I'm pretty sure that's going to be going into the top lane. Very dominant top laner, very poke heavy as well. Possibly leaning against that Cho'Gath, and that Sejuani Jinx do get locked in. Between these two teams so far, I think the blue team are going to need a bit more damage in their belts in order to really contest the purple team, because they really do have a lot of tankiness to them. With the black shields coming out of Morgana and the inherent tankiness of both Sejuani and Sion, they're going to really have to find a way to get to the backline of Jinx and whatever mid laner they decide to choose.
Yeah, and I'm actually really surprised to see the Cho'Gath pick come out here. You don't typically see him in like super competitive formats because of the fact that if you kill him, yeah, he can be super tanky and become ridiculously strong, but you kill him once, you kill him twice, he suddenly loses so much of his stats that you can really just effectively take him out of the game later on, even if he gets going early. But, I mean, it's still very, very difficult to deal with if you don't actually deal with him. So it's it can be definitely a pick that can go either way. Sejuani and Jinx, Sejuani a huge pick right now. She is so strong, and a lot of people are really riding on that boar train, I guess would be the best way to say it, because she is just so strong coming out of the jungle.
She's strong, however, her early game is really still a major issue because her early clears are still fairly weak, despite the fact that she has been the highest picked jungler currently in the latest patch. And against somebody like Rek'Sai might be able to just kind of walk into the jungle of Sejuani and just kind of jump on her.
Yeah, let's see. Lucian and Ahri being picked up as the final two for the blue team. Very mobile picks. To go along with the Rek'Sai and the Thresh. Definitely going to be able to try and keep themselves, avoid getting ganked, and avoid being caught out. Both of them have the ability to do that. And now actually we see the Xerath being picked up as the final pick for the red team to round out the team comps. So there's that long range magic damage to really try and harass down Ahri really heavily in mid lane. The teams have about a minute or so to get things traded around, get things set up where they want to be.
Going to be really interesting to see what happens here in this mid lane, because Xerath and Ahri both very powerful mid laners in terms of the amount of damage that they could put out, but Ahri is slightly better in terms of the lane matchup, despite not having the same mana sustain that Xerath has. Ahri is just going to be able to poke the Xerath down quite often, and since he's not exactly that mobile where Ahri is, thanks to the movement speed buff that you get off of her Orb of Deception as well as her ultimate, it's going to be really hard for the Xerath to really catch her out and prevent her from roaming. However, on the same boat, Xerath can still have an impact once he hits level 6 without even having to move from his lane. And when he does actually decide to move, he's going to bring a huge amount of burst damage to anyone that actually does get caught out on the blue side.
Yeah, it'll be something we have to keep our eyes out for, as we are now into that 3-minute delay before we get into game. We take a look at the summoner spells that everyone is bringing. We see it will be no real surprises. The top lane matchup of Cho'Gath and Sion, both of them opting to take that teleport. Junglers are going to be the Sejuani and Rek'Sai. Mid lane of Ahri with the Ignite versus Xerath taking the barrier to try and help protect himself a bit. And then that bottom lane matchup of Thresh and Lucian going up against the Morgana and Jinx. Morgana actually opting to take an Ignite, so going to be looking to possibly be very aggressive down in that bottom lane for Legendary Threat.
So between these two teams right now, I'm going to have to give the edge slightly in favor of the red team. How they do have this huge front line that it's going to be really hard for the blue team to go ahead and get behind. Sejuani and Sion both provide not only a lot of CC, but can soak up a ridiculous amount of damage. Sion gets tanky as the game progresses to do when he farms his W, also obviously giving him HP, as well as the fact that he will be building tanky items. Sejuani gets extremely tanky once she gets her Cinder Hulk item, gets a few tank items, and she still does a ridiculous amount of damage, as does Sion. And her Flail of the Northern Winds is just also going to provide a huge amount of burst for the first person that she does hit. Follow that up with any CC from Xerath, and the burst that he actually can put out with his Q and his E, it's going to be really hard for the blue team to go ahead and contest anything that this red team is going to be putting out. However, on the same token, blue team does have very strong laners. So if they can get these lanes ahead early without struggling too far in objectives either, they might be able to put up a pretty good fight against the red team here.
Yeah, you were talking about how the red team's going to have that huge tanky front line, but the blue team's going to have the exact same thing. You're going to have the Cho'Gath, who is similar design in the fact that he just gets tankier and tankier, but still puts out some solid damage. And Rek'Sai is kind of in the same boat. She can do a lot of damage while still building pure tank, and both of them are going to be very difficult to kill. They both have the ability to peel for their carries. But you have that on both sides, so it's going to be very similar sort of strategy from each team in terms of just trying to get their two big tanky frontliners out in front, peeling for their carries while the carries are trying to get as much damage put down while staying safe as they can. So, Darkest Night and Legendary Threats going to be kicking us off here. The first game of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament, culminating at L.A.S.T.
It's going to be really interesting to see which teams actually do make it to L.A.S.T. in June, because we see a lot of pretty big names here in this tournament, so we'll see who exactly can make it to that final matchup.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 other games tonight, so make sure you stay tuned after this one is over as well. But for now, we are going to be getting on into that loading screen, taking a look at the 2 teams. I'll be taking care of the blue side, the Darkest Night Gaming. They have, once it actually loads up, it's loading screen, please.
Yeah, it's taking a while for me too, actually. Oh, there we go.
There we go. In the top lane, it's going to be Mad Cow 457 with the Battlecast Prime Cho'Gath, the Blood Wolf 457 in the jungle on Eternum Rek'Sai, Tweety the Bird supporting with Blood Moon Thresh, and his AD carry will be Faith Within 1 on the Classic Lucian, and holding things down in the mid lane is Thor 74 on Challenger Ahri.
And we see on the red team, poor old Ryder Sejuani with Yalahal, Altaresh on Morgana, Victorious Morgana, of course. Kalento, according to some people who might be quitting high school for League, I kind of have a doubt that though. Kalento sitting on Sion in the top lane, Threat God in the role of AD carry, and Xerath Millennium in the mid lane. We're going to see how these guys stack up against each other as we load into the Rift.
Yep, so loading up on in, we see everyone getting their items purchased and about to be heading out. Once those gates drop, making their way out of the base, we have Thresh picking up the Relic Shield, while Morgana opting to grab the Spell Thief's Edge to start things off. I'm going to be really interested to see if there's going to be any kind of level 1 fight going on. It doesn't look like really either team is going to be looking for that. Maybe a little bit coming out here from Legendary Threat, as they are a lot more grouped together than Darkest Night right now. But Darkest Night getting a couple of wards down. Going to be seeing people knowing that there's a threat up, a legendary threat, if you will, sitting in that bush in the river.
Oh boy. Oh boy. It's going to be one of these days. Okay, that's fine. So it looks like they're really just trying to get some deep wards in, trying to find out whether or not they're actually going to potentially do a lane swap here. Kalento going to go to him ward. Ward's not really going to see much, but should be okay. As you can see, the blue team also going ahead and roaming into the jungle, trying to get some of those deep wards down tied, just to try and keep track of the junglers on each side. That way, no early ganks or early cheese does happen on each side.
Minions have spawned.
Alright, so we're going to see everybody just kind of going back into the lanes. It looks like Rek'Sai is going to go ahead and start with her Krugs, whereas Sejuani looks to just kind of be roaming around a little bit, maybe going to be going ahead and starting with the Gromp.
We got to keep an eye on Sion here, though. He's going to be sitting in that bush by the blue buff, but does back off in time before Cho'Gath gets there. I'm not sure if he's going to go for the traditional Sion start. He's actually pinging towards those raptors, which looks like he's going to actually be picking that up, dying to those raptors, getting that instant level 2 before teleporting back to lane. So Kalento, not really a big surprise anymore for Scions to do that. I still remember the first time I ever saw a Scion do that. I was like, what are you doing? Then I realized, oh, he's got level 2 and he's instantly level 2 and back in lane. Okay, I guess it works out.
A lot of damage going out onto Thresh here. Morgana just really zoning them out right now. Doing a really good job of it too, and looks like she's just going to be being a nuisance right now to the Lucian and the Thresh. She's going to be forced to back off though before she takes any more damage.
Yeah, just going to be helping Jinx get a bit of a CS lead down there, and of course Thresh now just using that second stack of the Relic Shield. So, able to get the health back up with that passive elbow. That Jinx going to get hooked. And Jinx is now going to taking a lot of damage. The exhaust goes down, but she uses that flash, should be able to get away. But that is a lot of damage that she just took here at the instant level 2 engage. Great job by Tweety the Bird and Faith Within. Lucian actually wanting some more, but he's going to be taking a binding and a zap for that. So standing on that pool, he's going to be dropped just as low as Jinx just was. So very, very aggressive, maybe a little over-aggressive there from Darkest Night.
That may be so, however, this is going to put Lucian very far ahead of the Jinx. The Jinx is going to be forced to farm at her turret, whereas, oh, you see the Poe coming out from the Piercing Light doing quite a bit of damage, especially early on. Jinx is really going to be forced to miss a lot of CS here, otherwise she's risking dying to another Piercing Light or a Death Sentence actually coming out from that Thresh.
Yeah, being stuck, you can see it there, she's standing so far back behind her turret because of the fact that Lucian can poke through the minion wave, and that's going to be a very precarious situation for the Jinx. She's keeping up at CS rather well actually right now though, because that lane did get pushed up, but now Morgana's going to get grabbed by that hook. A double shot coming through from Lucian, and he is doing so much damage to this Morgana. I don't think they have enough damage. No, they don't. She is going to get back, but now both Jinx and Morgana are going to be forced to recall. They really can't stay in this lane without going back, or they're going to get punished for it.
Not surprising here in the top lane, we see Scion and Cho'Gath just kind of trading back and forth, neither of them really dying or taking too much damage. Both of them have ridiculous amounts of sustain, so not going to be seeing too much there. However, in the mid lane, we did see a small trade from Ahri and Xerath. They're sitting quite far ahead than Ahri in the CS game, though. He's sitting at 32, her 19. So expect him to get further and further ahead here. He seems to be doing very well in that matchup.
Yeah,
top
definitely.
Lane, relatively even.
Yeah, really back and forth up in the top. Not really too much harass going down. You see, both of them still have a good number of their starting potions. So, more just been kind of a farm fest going on up there. Of course, as soon as I say it's a farm fest, they both start attacking each other. Scion definitely coming out worse for wear in that trade, though. And of course, Cho'Gath having the extra sustain from his passive on killing minions is definitely going to help him out, being able to stick around up top with this Scion.
So between these two teams right now, it seems like the red team has a very slight edge. They have a 300 gold lead at this stage of the game, strictly from farm, of course. Looking at the junglers, though, Sejuani and Rek'Sai both opted to back get their upgraded jungle items.
Another Death Sentence going to connect onto the Morgana. The Chompers go down to try and keep the damage at bay, but it's not going to be enough. The Morgana is solo. The heal does come out, and a beautiful binding landing. Now it's actually Lucian, the one on the run. Zap, unfortunately, going to collide with a minion, so that Thresh will not be getting slowed. And this bottom lane, this is definitely where the action is right now. Gonna be anticipating at least one of the junglers heading down there soon. I mean, they've been so aggressive back and forth that you kind of have to figure a jungler's going to go help out, try and turn the tides of that lane in one of their favors. But for now, we do just see it is going to be Rek'Sai covering the mid lane for Ahri while she goes back to base. Cho'Gath's gonna flash forward with that ultimate, picking up first blood, feasting on the Scion. The passive does come up, but he's just gonna be able to use that to get a couple of CS. But what a great play by Cho'Gath, knowing the damage of his feast and just flashing forward and picking up the kill.
That's gonna put this Cho'Gath very far ahead of the Scion. Scion forced to go back, get a Spectre's Cowl over really the other tank item. Curious to see what the Cho'Gath is actually going to go ahead and back and get. Sion just teleported back into lane, so he's not going to have that up for a potential Dragon engage in the bot lane. Cho'Gath still in that lane, farming it up. That Doran's ring is just providing so much sustain for him, combined with his passive.
Yeah, his passive, I mean, he still has a health potion too, so he really just hasn't had much trouble. He is out of mana now, but he's still giving it to Sion. Look at that, winning these trades despite not having recalled yet. We do see, however, it is going to be Darkest Night looking to pick up this first dragon of the game. They have the teleport advantage. They knew Sion wasn't going to be able to get involved there. They had Jinx and Morgana forced to recall one more time. So that first dragon getting picked up here about 7.5 minutes into the game, going over to Darkest Night Gaming.
And with that dragon, the fact that the red team don't have the exact timer on it is going to be a nice little benefit for the blue team. However, with that as well, they did see Cho'Gath there in the top lane, so they do have a rough estimate as to when the dragon is exactly going to be up. So expect them to get some warding down, the red team to get some wards down there before the blue team capitalize on another dragon.
Yeah, definitely expected. Cho'Gath finally going back to base, and now that dragon isn't on the map, he can just use his teleport freely to get back up to lane without having to worry about it. Picking up immediately the Catalyst and a Blasting Wand, though. Going to be looking to grab a Rod of the Ages as his first item. Meanwhile, Sion going through, getting some deep wards down in the enemy's jungle. So that vision game already clearly being a focus for the red team. They gave up that first dragon without having too much vision on it, so trying to decide, we don't want something like that to happen again. Let's make sure we have vision control all across the map.
Very much so. And it looks like the Cho'Gath is going to be going for the Rod of Ages start. Not too surprising considering it is a Cho'Gath. He went ahead, bought the Catalyst, the Protector, bought the Blasting Wand. Rek'Sai just hanging out here in the bot lane, looking to try and get a pick. They don't have any wards of that Rek'Sai, so they don't know that she's actually there.
Yeah, if one or more Death Sentence hooks lands onto either minion, isn't going to do it. If that had landed on either the Jinx or Morgana, it could have very easily spelled a death. We do see Sejuani and both mid laners starting to make their way down as well, but it does look like everybody's going to just back off instead.
Sejuani's just going to be clearing the pink ward that they had at the dragon. She's probably going to find the pink ward that's sitting there in that river bush as well. Xerath still doing very nicely here in the mid lane, really pushing this Ahri away from getting much farm. He's sitting at 81 to her 43.
Yeah, that's a big lead in the mid lane that Xerath is building up. He's actually going to be recalling here again. He already has the Fiendish Codex and the Forbidden Idol, so we'll see if he turns that. Yep, there's the Morellonomicon getting picked up.
And as it seems right now in the bot lane, it's fairly even, honestly. Jinx is slightly behind in farm. Not surprising considering she is against a Lucian and a Thresh, forced to play very, very passive. However, they're not far behind in the sense that they'll actually be able to stay relatively even here in this matchup. The moment Lucian and Thresh do decide to go back at some point, Jinx will go ahead and really push that in hard, and get quite a bit of farm in the process as well. She's going to eat a Piercing Light, though, and it's a couple of auto attacks because she went a little too far. The flash!
Oh, Thresh with the flash. The ultimate gets flashed away from as well from Jinx. Putting down those chompers. The ultimate from Morgana is going to lock both of them up. But not before Lucian actually dashes forward right before getting stunned, and that's going to be a kill for the Jinx. She's going to use that Get Excited passive to try and chase down the Thresh. The zap lands. This could be a kill, especially with Death Sentence missing. The rocket will go out and get the kill. Double kill for Jinx, and that is going to be absolutely huge for Legendary Threat.
Yeah, that's a nice pickup there for the red team. They were able to really capitalize on that bot lane after having a bit of a struggle in the early game. But like I said before, Jinx...
Oh, here comes Sejuani actually ganking the mid lane. Oh, followed up with the stun by Xerath. He didn't even need to go into his ult form there, but he does so anyway. A very easy, quick kill for Legendary Threat in the mid.
And for right now, it seems like the Sion's still really struggling there in the top lane, not in terms of farm, but in terms of actually sustaining against this Cho'Gath. He's actually being forced to back. He's probably just going to go ahead and teleport into lane yet again. And Dragon's going to be up in about a minute, 2 minutes actually. So if he chooses to back any later than now, he's actually going to be denying his team quite badly in terms of denying them the chance of having a teleport down to the bot lane if the Dragon play does actually come out from the blue team.
Yeah, right now Cho'Gath despite having that kill, that top lane is still remaining fairly even in terms of CS. I mean, Cho'Gath does have the slight lead thanks to having that kill, but Sion's been doing a good job of making sure that he keeps CSing and doesn't lose out on too much. Gonna have to see with this Jinx picking up that kill. The items are actually still relatively close, really only having the advantage of boots over the Lucian after the last recalls there, but also being able to pick up a couple extra potions and having that Doran's Blade as well. So, but both of them did get their BF sword and pickaxe, so solid damage going to be coming out from both Lucian and Jinx going forward.
One thing to note as well, the Rek'Sai still hasn't finished her jungle item. Sejuani, on the other hand, did go ahead and finish the Cinderhulk and picked up a Null Magic Mantle in the process as well. Dragon is going to be up in about 40 seconds, so it's going to be interesting to see what the blue team decides to do, if they're going to try and maybe force a fight here at the Dragon, or try and sneak one. Sejuani did just clear the Rift Scholar. She is going to have vision of that Dragon once it does spawn. But Rek'Sai has tunnels all over the map right now, so she could be anywhere at a moment's notice. So if this Sejuani decides to roam up top for whatever reason, it's going to be a big problem for the red team in terms of contesting that Dragon.
Yeah, and of course, Rek'Sai did also just recall back to base, finish off that jungle enchantment, opting for the Warriors, while of course Sejuani got the Cinderhulk. So, have to see if blue team is going to try and continue to have control over the Dragon, pick up the second one of the game, or if Legendary Threat will be able to pick up their first. A lot of this is going to be depending on what happens in this top lane. Still just constantly trading back and forth, but neither of them really doing enough damage to be a threat to each other. It's really just kind of a pillow fight up in the top lane at this point because they are both so tanky.
Yeah, we've got a couple of wet noodles up there in the top lane, but meanwhile Sejuani is sitting in that Dragon Pit, not exactly where you want to be right now. Your bot lane is not with you. Rek'Sai right around the wall, just trying to trying to catch that Sejuani out. Meanwhile, the hook does land onto the Jinx, but it gets black shielded by Morgana just in time, and she can just walk away from that.
Very good reaction times by Morgana to be able to spell shield the death sentence coming in. There is vision for Legendary Threat on the Dragon. They have that thing board in there, so they'll know if Darkest Night Gaming decides to try and go for it. You have to see, a lot of people are starting to group up down there.
Sejuani wasting quite a bit of time there in that bot lane. She did get seen out by a ward. Curious to see if she's actually just going to go ahead and stick around and maybe try and make a play pretending that she's not there anymore, or decided to go ahead and recall. Rek'Sai also in this bot lane. Is she going to tunnel over that wall? Not quite yet. And it looks like Thresh getting ready to set up for a play here.
While this is going on though, Sejuani has actually started off the Dragon, and I think Rek'Sai just got an idea, but she threw her Q in there and saw that it didn't hit. She may be thinking that it's either gone already or just know that it's been pulled out of the pit. But Sejuani does back off.
Oh, and it looks like in the mid lane, Ahri going to be caught out here by the Zera. She's forced to Spirit Rush.
Yeah, not quite going to land those shots, but that tower is so close to falling now in favor of Xerath. He's just been really dominant in this lane. I'm kind of surprised that Rek'Sai hasn't been trying to put some pressure on mid lane to help her out. But right now, they did just force Ahri to recall. They should know that they have an advantage here. But actually, ooh, this could be bad timing. Legendary Threat just recalled as well. So, they're bottom lane at least. But it is going to be Sejuani going to get hit by the death sentence, but not followed up on. She's going to dash out of there. Both teams really, really interested in this Dragon, but not wanting to take too much of a chance by going for it.
Right now, the biggest problem for the red team in terms of being able to take that Dragon is the fact that Sion is being forced to back right now. He isn't healthy enough sitting up there in that top lane, and not only that, he's against a Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath's endlessly pushing into his tower. And now that that tower is gone, Sion has a little bit more wiggle room, but so does the Cho'Gath in terms of being able to go ahead and roam around the map for his team. Meanwhile, the red team are going to be going ahead and starting this Dragon. Rek'Sai sitting around the corner. Meanwhile, Xerath also in the top lane trying to catch out that Cho'Gath. But that means that the red team is also without their mid laner, which is a problem considering they do have Ahri around that back wall. Meanwhile,
Rek'Sai's going to go over the wall. This is going to be the fight. Sejuani gets the Dragon and the kill onto Rek'Sai, and that was just disastrous for Darkest Night Gaming, as Legendary Threats are able to pick up their first dragon of the game and also add their 4th kill onto the scoreboard. Sejuani now 2-0-0, but that was a great job by Legendary Threat, being able to take the dragon and pick themselves up a kill.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were looking for. They were looking for the Rek'Sai to get a little antsy to try and take the dragon. But because of the fact that the ward is not close enough to the dragon, whereas Rek'Sai could see it while being within her burrowed vision, it's actually a big factor into why that Rek'Sai just kind of went in blindly. She could have waited for more within smite range, that way she could go ahead and smite the dragon. She may have died in the process, but she at least would have been able to take the big objective for her team, putting them at 2 dragons over the none that would be for the red team. But because she went just a little too early, she actually just went ahead, gave up a kill, gave up the dragon. Very unfortunate for her team. And meanwhile, Jinx sitting on an Infinity Edge as is Lucian. And the blue team, they're going to be seen taking this blue buff, so now the red team's going to have a timer as to when it's going to be up next.
Yeah, there's going to be Ahri grabbing her blue, and right now, Legendary Threat are starting to pull ahead. There haven't been too much in terms of like full-on fights. It's been a lot of just one-on-ones, or someone just getting in a bad position like Rek'Sai was in the dragon pit there. But I feel like they're individually, with the exception of the Cho'Gath, and actually Sejuani's going to be diving underneath the tower onto this Cho'Gath. Which, yeah, Sejuani and Sion are really tanky, but so is that Cho'Gath. You're going to have to do a lot of damage to be able to tower dive him, so they do decide to back off.
So
There's another binding going to land.
Red team sitting nice and ahead, a few thousand gold in the lead here, 1 dragon to 1 dragon. Probably the biggest factor right now that's going negatively for the red team is the fact that Sion isn't really getting much leeway here in the top lane. He managed to finish off a Frozen Heart, but that's really not going to do all that much for him against such an AP heavy top and mid lane. He is going to try and do some damage to Cho'Gath in the meantime though.
Yeah, I mean, he is still relatively tanky. Going to be safe from the Rek'Sai and Lucian, but that's going to be bad news for Morgana, getting pulled in underneath the turret. However, Jinx turning this one around, going to get 2 kills. What a great fight there from Legendary Threat's bottom lane. I thought for sure that Morgana was just going to be going down once she got grabbed underneath the tower, but so much damage coming out in an instant from the Jinx and Morgana, both of them getting their ultimates off and picking up 2 kills for themselves.
That was really nicely done by that Jinx. The Super Mega Death Rocket just went and hit them smack dab right in the face. Lucian was forced to back off of that extremely early because he took a lot of damage. The fact that Morgana was able to live there as well just shows that the bot lane for the red team is actually pulling really far ahead. The fact that Jinx is sitting at 302 is going to be a humongous problem, because this is exactly what the blue team wanted to avoid. They needed to get ahead in the laning phase and make it so that this Jinx couldn't snowball as hard as she already is. And not only that, Xerath is sitting almost 70 CS up on this Ahri, which is a humongous problem in itself, because he's just being able to provide so much poke, and he isn't getting any attention from the jungler nor the mid laner. He's just free farming at this point.
Yeah, and the other fact is Jinx, just went back with over 2,500 gold in her possession, so she's gonna now have the Zeal ahead of Lucian. So actually also gonna grab the Cloak of Agility, so almost a full item ahead of Lucian at this point now. Lucian has just been really punished in these engages and the trades that they've been making, and you have to give credit to Morgana not panicking when she got, she was death sentenced, flayed, and caught in the box underneath the enemy turret, and just didn't panic. Got the binding, put down her pool, threw out her ultimate. It's everything that she had to do in that situation. She did absolutely perfectly, and is the definition of a support, getting your AD carry fed, and that's just what she's been doing. And it's going to be very difficult for Darkest Night Gaming to deal with that, as Jinx is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and it looks like the Jinx, instead of the normal static shift that we usually see Jinx players starting with, she's probably going to be going for that Phantom Dancer above all else, since she did pick up that Cloak of Agility. It's going to be a pretty nice item for her, because it's also going to prevent her from getting minion blocked if she does potentially maybe try going for a dive or something along those lines. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we do see 4 members of Darkest Night Gaming trying to push in this mid lane tower from Legendary Threat, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do all that much. The Ahri is not quite fed enough to provide the wave clear that they need. She is sitting on a needlessly large rod and an Abyssal Scepter, but she hasn't been doing much with it. Xerath, in the same boat, he hasn't been doing much with the items that he does have. He has a completed Rabadon's Death Cap as well as a Morella Nomicon, but in the same boat, he's also at 192 CS to Ahri's 120, so the DS difference is a humongous factor here, and the fact that Dragon is up in about 10 seconds, this is probably going to be a very explosive fight if the right CC chains can land from Legendary Threat.
Yeah, all 10 players are grouped up down here by the Dragon, so they just popped the Spell Shield from Scion's Banshee's Veil, which means now he's not going to be able to just ignore one of them. Actually, the culling coming out very early, not really hitting anybody, and Darkest Night Gaming is just going to completely give up this Dragon. They didn't feel that they could get in there, and they're going to instead try to trade the tower in mid lane, but they're not going to be able to get it fast enough. Scion ulting in, going to be knocking up that Cho'Gath, and Jinx just standing in the back lines doing as much damage as she can. Rek'Sai and Thresh trying to get onto her, but they just don't have anywhere near enough, and Legendary Threat is just wiping the floor right now. This is going to be 4 kills. The ultimate from Xerath getting put down, but Ahri should be able to escape with quite a bit of health, but wow, 4 for none that quickly for Legendary Threat, and now they're going to instead turn this down and push down the mid lane. Scion just going to tank up this tower. He doesn't really care. He is so big already.
Yeah, that was a humongous team fight there for Legendary Threat. They were able to pick up the Dragon without any contest. The fact that Lucian also used the culling right before that fight happened, meaning that that little burst of damage that he could have had while kiting away just kind of was gone, and it gave them free range to go ahead and be extremely aggressive against Darkest Night Gaming, which extremely impressive by Threat God to pick up the triple kill there amongst all of that chaos, able to make sure that the damage was going down to the right people. Unfortunate that the Ahri was able to get away though, but not surprising she is sitting on being able to use her Spirit Rush. So this is going to be another tower in favor of Legendary Threat. So this is going to be extremely hard for Darkest Night Gaming to go ahead and push back against it. It's almost a 10,000 gold lead at 24 minutes into the game for Legendary Threat right now, and they need Darkest Night Gaming really needs to go ahead and start getting these picks around the map. Their team isn't necessarily the biggest team fight oriented team. They have a Rek'Sai, they have Ahri, 2 very mobile champions that really need to be able to get ahead by getting the picks around the map during the laning phase. But because of the fact that they weren't able to do that, they are extremely behind right now, and they cannot really find the team fights that they're looking for. Lucian and Thresh would be able to do just fine, as is Cho'Gath, being able to soak up all the damage as a tank. But Rek'Sai and Ahri, they just kind of go in and get CC'd down if they get too close because of the amount of crowd control coming out from Legendary Threat.
Yeah, and it's going to be a very difficult road back at this point for Darkest Night. Down almost a full 10,000 gold here, 25 minutes into the game, and it's starting to look like Legendary Threat is going to be picking up the first victory in L.A.S.T. So, but the game is not over yet. It definitely, I have seen bigger comebacks in, even in professional scene. I've seen bigger comebacks than this. So you never know until the Nexus actually falls. But right now, it's definitely looking to be in Legendary Threat's court.
Yeah, definitely. Legendary Threat really have complete control right now over the map, and it's going to be interesting to see what Darkest Night Gaming do to try and get back the map control that they had at the very beginning of the game. The fact that they were able to get First Blood was good for them, but at the end of the day, they kind of did nothing with that fact. Rek'Sai not applying enough pressure pre-6 like she usually would. Rek'Sai has some of the strongest early game ganking out of any jungler right now, as well as being extremely tanky thanks to the fact that she heals with her Borrow. But Sejuani just left alone to her own devices, she was able to get past the really rough early game that Sejuani's usually do have. And the moment she hit level 6, she went right to the mid lane to get that kill on Ahri, getting her Xerath ahead.
Yeah, and of course, Xerath being ahead and Jinx also being so far ahead in this bottom lane is just really turning the tide of this fight.
Oh, and
Xerath getting caught out a little bit, but he is going to be able to survive this. And the red team, Legendary Threat, turning the fight around with Sion and Sejuani both getting in there, and Xerath actually picking up a kill onto the Ahri with that ultimate. Both Cho'Gath and Lucian being forced to retreat. So despite being the ones getting engaged on, they still managed to turn around and pick up a kill in that fight. And look at their health bars, they're still relatively healthy all across the board, most of them still being at full. And it's just such a strong performance here from Legendary Threat as they pick up that bottom inner tower, and they're gonna just continue pushing on right now.
Yeah, it's oh, and it looks like Cho'Gath actually get to be taking quite a bit of damage here as well. The fact that the red team is still sitting extremely healthy, they could go ahead, get some vision down on the dragon, maybe even go for the Baron at this point. They can melt it down really fast thanks to the fact that they do have a Jinx who's sitting on an Infinity Edge and a Phantom Dancer and a BF Sword on top of that. So it'll be interesting to see what
Morgana
happens.
Morgana gonna have some supportal combat as Morgana wants this Thresh. He manages to get off of the pool, and now here comes Lucian. Morgana gonna have to run away from that. But Morgana just going really brave, just saying, hey, you know what? If it's just Thresh, I'll gladly fight him. But unfortunately for her, it just wasn't just Thresh, so she did end up backing away in the end.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there for the Morgana not being able to pick up the kill, but another big problem there was the fact that she burned her Ignite and her Soul Shackles to go ahead and try and get the kill onto Thresh. Thresh just a little too tanky right now for the Morgana to really be able to secure that kill, but at the same time, that's going to deny her team Soul Shackles for the next team fight, or at least for the next about 45 seconds or so. But that Ignite being down is also going to be a problem if they do end up getting into a fight where they're trying to pin down that Cho'Gath.
Yeah, I mean, the Soul Shackles should be back up before they have too big of a fight. I mean, Dragon is going to be up in 10 seconds, but we'll have to see if they try and just stall this out and wait for a fight to start up until that Soul Shackles is back available, or if Darkest Night Gaming is going to just force their way in towards that objective and make them fight while it's not up. Of course, then you also run the risk of it coming up towards the end of a fight and just turning the tides of things at the end. But it looks like Cho'Gath's going to find his way in. Teleport coming down from Sion, and Legendary Threat wants to go for this. They have everyone there now. And actually, we can see the Soul Shackles is very close to coming off cooldown. They're just going to start up this dragon, though. They don't even care. They know that they're ahead, and they're just challenging Darkest Night to come into the pit. However, it is going to be Cho'Gath getting the dragon stolen with that rupture. Great job by Cho'Gath. They do end up losing Rek'Sai in the process, but losing your jungler to pick up the dragon is absolutely worth it. And that was a bit of a miscue from Sejuani to not get her smite off in time onto that dragon, but it shouldn't really affect them too much. They're going to move up towards this Baron pit, and actually looks like they're going to try and bait Darkest Night in towards the pit.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty big loss there. Despite the fact that they were able to get the dragon, they lost their jungler. And right now, with the entirety of the red team still being alive and relatively healthy, except for Sejuani, it's going to be really hard for them to contest this Baron if they actually do decide to go for it. But it looks like they're going to go ahead, disengage on it, play it safe, and just try and wait for everybody to be healthy enough to go back, get that vision control back into the Baron side of the map, and then potentially go for the Baron.
Yeah, that was definitely a good call to back off there. You don't want to risk losing anything, especially after you just had an objective stolen away from you. You don't want to stick your neck out too far, even when you have a lead like this. So just going to be recalling, getting some more items picked up, and possibly, I feel like they should just look for a fight. You know, you're at the point where you don't really need Baron to be able to go down and win the game. You've won every team fight thus far, and you're so far ahead that I would like to see Legendary Threat just try and force a fight somewhere on the map and see if they can just win that, and then maybe pick up Baron to finish off pushing into the base.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The red team really could just kind of walk down the mid lane right now and force a fight that the blue team do not want. because they are susceptible to getting caught out still. Cho'Gath almost getting caught there himself. Just go ahead, takes the lantern away. But this provides a lot more map control. As you can see, they were forced to back off extremely far. Xerath just going to be pushing in that mid lane, and Morgana and the rest of Legendary Threat are going to go ahead, clear out the wards that are around Baron Pit for right now.
And right now, it does look like Legendary Threat's going to be forming up by that Baron Pit one more time. However, there is vision there from Darkest Night this time, so they know if it's been started up or not. However, they still need to at least make their way up in that direction just in case, as that vision, not quite all of it is going to get cleared out here. At least not quite yet. It's that one ward, actually 2 wards sitting there, but there we go. Now they see them and are going to be taking that vision away. So now things is when things start to get really risky for Darkest Night. Do you decide to go towards that Baron Pit, or do you just try and push up mid? Looks like they're going to be more grouping mid, but Legendary Threat reacting to that, coming on down.
Actually, one thing to note, we saw briefly off camera the Thresh going in with the flash death sentence. He actually made the Jinx burn her flash as well. So if the Darkest Night Gaming can manage to get the engage onto Jinx, it'll actually be very much in their favor, because now that she's without her dedicated escape of flash, it's going to be really hard for her to escape if she does get engaged on. But it looks like they're going to go ahead and start the Baron up here. Baron sitting extremely healthy right now, so I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to take it in time before they come into contest. Almost
here comes the Darkest Night Gaming, the culling coming out. They are actually going to back off of the Baron and instead look for the fight. And there's going to be Sion and everyone getting in there. Jinx picking up the first kill, but she is going to fall to the Rek'Sai. However, Sejuani with so much lockdown, Cho'Gath really the only one left inside the fight, as Lucian is getting just chased around by Sion. But here comes the Xerath ultimate, and that's going to be the end of the Lucian. And that is a clean ace for Legendary Threat. Only 2 members of their own falling. Unfortunately, it was their 2 biggest kind of auto attack damage sources in Jinx and Sejuani, but that should be enough for them to at the very least push down this top inner tower. And of course, just the gold that you're going to get from picking up 5 kills for the team should put them even further ahead. Just taking a look now, as they do start recalling, picking up a couple of items very close to final builds for a couple members of Legendary Threat here, especially this Jinx, currently sitting on over 14,000 gold that she's earned this game. That is just, she's so far ahead of really anybody else in the game. The next closest gold total is her Xerath at 12,000. She's just so strong, and I mean, you have to give credit to Darkest Night Gaming. They had the right idea. They got on, they took down Jinx as quickly as they could. Unfortunately, there was just so much CC when you factor in Sion, Sejuani, Morgana. It's just way too much CC for them to be able to deal with in the full 5-on-5 while this far behind. And Legendary Threat just really in control right now.
Yeah, they have a humongous advantage right now. The Cho'Gath is really the biggest problem on the side of Darkest Night Gaming. Rek'Sai not really being much of a factor, not tanky, not doing enough damage either. Lucian sitting on an Infinity Edge and a Last Whisper, but at the same time, that's not really going to provide him all that much in the long run here. Mainly because of the fact that he doesn't have any sustain aside from that Vamp Scepter, but on top of that, it's going to be extremely hard for him to do any damage to the humongous beefy tanks that are coming out from Legendary Threat. They have a Sion who's sitting on a Locket of the Iron Solari. Sorry, that's a Sejuani with the Locket of the Iron Solari and
culling being used. Yeah, culling being used by Lucian, but Sion literally just eating the entirety of it and barely losing any health. There's a beautiful ultimate from Sejuani going to lock up multiple members as they grab their 3rd dragon buff, and now they're going to just continue this fight. Jinx is just on the backside with Xerath pumping out so much damage. The Cho'Gath goes down along with the Rek'Sai. Cho'Gath getting back up with that Guardian Angel, but just immediately falling again. Thresh also not going to be able to get out. Look at the damage from Xerath's ultimate, and that's going to be a dead Ahri as soon as Jinx gets there. A quadra kill for Jinx. Is Lucian going to give the Penta? Nope, not going to come out this time. No ultimate from Jinx to pick up that last kill. But that was so close to Xerath picking up the kill onto Lucian as well. But so another 4 kills going over to Legendary Threat. They're just going to push in onto the inhibitor tower. First inhibitor tower and inhibitor going down 36 minutes in.
Yeah, they're probably just going to back off here, go for the Baron that is relatively free right now. Darkest Night Gaming not really going to be able to contest it at this point. They're just going to have to give that objective up for free. They don't have enough pressure on the map, nor do they have enough vision to really get a good grasp as to what's going to be going on with this Baron, so they're not going to have the timer, nor are they going to really have a good idea as to like what exactly Legendary Threat has in terms of vision. But this Baron obviously going to be going over to Legendary Threat without much of a problem.
Yeah, it went down so quickly too. They were easily able to pick that up. And now, actually, it looks like they might be looking for a fight, but Jinx and Sion both recalled, so they need to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to get too overconfident and end up getting picked off, and that's actually might be what happened, as the Sejuani is going to be getting engaged on. Cho'Gath, Rek'Sai, and Thresh is doing a lot of damage, but there's really no damage coming from Legendary Threat as both Sion and Jinx are not there. But here comes the rocket. It's not going to hit anybody, but Morgana still managed to pick up a kill. Xerath putting a lot of damage out, grabs the Ahri with his ultimate, and now Cho'Gath is going to fall as Sion did manage to get back involved. And another 4 kills. Despite not having Jinx involved whatsoever, there's still 4 kills picked up by Legendary Threat, and now Lucian, oh, he's going to definitely be going down. That Ace, Jinx penta finally gets that kill on Lucian, the super delayed penta for Jinx. And that is going to be very likely the game going in favor of Legendary Threat here as they take down both Nexus towers, turn their attention onto the Nexus, and Legendary Threat going 1-0 here to start off the season of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament. So congratulations to them, and we'll have to we'll take a moment, get set up for the next game. But Legendary Threat looking very, very strong in this opening match.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job this game, making sure that they were able to take their the objectives that they needed at the right times. They were just winning fights left and right, and it was really hard for Darkest Night Gaming to really go ahead and push any sort of advantage. So congratulations to Legendary Threat for winning the first game of L.A.S.T, and we will be seeing them in the next round. They are sitting at 1-0. Right now, we're getting ready to load up into our next game.
Of course, do just want to clarify, you said next round, but it is actually, it's 9 weeks. This is a league-style tournament, so every team is going to be playing 9 games. So they're just because Darkest Night Gaming lost that first game, they are by no means out of this tournament whatsoever. They still very much have a chance to come back and get themselves into that the top seed in their division to be able to move on to LEC Squared. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves set up for the next game. Once I get what the password is.
Alright, I'm currently in the lobby.
Yep. Alright, so this next game, Game 2 of Day 1, Week 1, Day 1 for L.A.S.T is going to be between Katsuo and Static. Now, this is a Division B matchup, so totally different division. This game has no impact on the game that we just watched, as the format for this tournament is that there are 4 divisions, divisions A, B, C, and D, and each team in those divisions plays each other. There's 5 teams in each division, and they each play each other twice, and then they play one other game against a non-divisional opponent. And then what the team that finishes with the best record in each division is the team that goes on to the League of Legends East Coast Convention for the semifinals and finals. So Division A now has a 1-0 and an 0-1 team in it, and actually the then this game and the next game tonight are going to be Division B. So these two games do have an impact on each other, as we'll be seeing Katsuo versus Static in our middle game of the first day.
So it looks like they're having a bit of an issue waiting on a teammate to go ahead and connect to the client. So between these two teams right now, the only team that we see in full is Static, which is composed of Sapphire Tree, Monkey Dude, Raunchy Spider, Ninja Kiwis, and D-Jeter9. And right now on Katsuo, we have Zenivia, B-Boy Tricky 2J, Tylor 656, Kirigaya Senpai, and Bobby Chan 1000.
And according to their official roster, or the most recent roster, Tylor is actually one of their subs. So we'll have to see. He is subbing, I believe, for their top... Nope, not their top laner. It is their jungler, who is not there. So their typical jungler is Saiyan Prince SS2, but it is going to be Tylor 656 subbing in for him today. There's always a very handy if you can have those subs that can just kind of fill in whenever needed. You know, I believe there's a couple teams in the tournament that don't have any subs on their official, or at least their most recent roster, which, you know, that can definitely pose a problem if you ever have an issue with someone being able to get on. But thankfully for this game, Katsuo has that sub ready to go.
We should be getting underway very shortly, so just gonna hang out, make sure each team is ready to go, and then we will be getting on to Game 2 of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament between Katsuo and Static. Going back to the previous game, it was extremely impressive to see what was going on in that game between the two teams, mainly because of the fact that they were able to, Legendary Threat was able to go from being in a relatively off situation. Their top laner was pretty far behind compared to the Cho'Gath. But it looks like we're actually going to go ahead and get right into our game here. Picks and bans going to be underway between Katsuo and Static. Zenivia doing the banning for Katsuo, and Sapphire Tree doing the banning for Static. Morgana is going to be the first champion banned out on the side of Katsuo. Callista being banned out from Static. Curious to see where these other bans are going to be going. Two of the bigger picks that we usually see, both in solo queue and in competitive play, being banned out here. Callista providing a lot of damage, especially with objective control thanks to her Rend, and Morgana just being an overall nuisance in the bot lane.
Yeah, definitely typical bans that you would see at any point, especially if you know someone on the enemy team plays it. Callista, I would say, is one of the strongest AD carries in the game at the moment. So not really surprising to see her banned. Vi being taken off the board as well, and LeBlanc also going. So that's the second game in a row that LeBlanc has not been allowed along with the Vi. And as we mentioned, just not a surprise at all, because they're both known to be really just able to completely control a match from the start.
Right now, they banned away the LeBlanc. LeBlanc is still extremely powerful mid laner, despite the fact that they removed her silence several patches ago. Her burst damage is still extremely hard for a lot of laners to deal with, and Ahri being banned out here by Katsuo. Not surprised to see that banned out either. She's one of those champions that's usually almost always played when she's open. Very high mobility, very high burst, very high damage, and an extremely efficient laner when actually played properly.
Yeah, of course, we did see in that last game, Ahri had a little bit of trouble against the Xerath, but actually Braum being banned away here, that one's kind of surprising to see. You don't typically see too many supports, with the exception of Morgana, getting banned away. So, I guess Red Team, the Static, either having a plan that Braum can just really disrupt, or maybe there's just a phenomenally strong Braum player over on Katsuo's side.
It looks like Jarvan is going to be the first pick there coming out of Katsuo. Lissandra and Lucian being picked up by Static Gaming. So, Jarvan being picked up is actually really surprising to me. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see that actually being picked up in the top lane, but in the jungle, I'm not too sure. They did get rid of the armor that is on his flag, but they did increase his base armor. At the same time, though, he's just not exactly the big power pick in the jungle like he used to be. Like, the top tier picks are still Sejuani, Rek'Sai, and Vi right now. Jarvan's sitting at very low tier compared to them. Orianna being hovered over there by B-Boy Tricky2J, but Tylor picking up that Corki. Corki does fairly well against Lucian in the lane. That hybrid damage is actually also really hard to build against. He's going to be doing a lot of damage towards the mid and late game.
Yeah, you were talking about the Jarvan having been knocked down by getting that armor taken away. It really did just heavily impact his initial clear, which is what he was so strong at and why so many people liked him. He could just clear the jungle so quickly without really having any trouble and then immediately start ganking, very early on. And that's been taken away from him a bit, but I mean, he's still a very strong champion, just doesn't have quite as efficient of a first clear. Now we see Nautilus possibly being hovered, and Nautilus is definitely one who has suddenly made a huge resurgence with the addition of the Cinder Hulk item.
I wouldn't say exactly a huge resurgence. However, he is going to be definitely top tier as the days go on, and certain nerfs to Sejuani that not a lot of Sejuani players that I know will be really sending her down a peg. But he has also played a lot in the support role, as we do see in a lot of competitive play. Nautilus being played in support by Lemon Nation.
Yeah, not going to be the case here, very likely, as Thresh is also picked up for Static, and then actually Maokai and Lulu being grabbed rather quickly. So, going to be very likely seeing Lulu in that support role for Katsuo. And then see what Static decides to round out their team with. And they have a good amount of tankiness and damage. We're going to have to see if they want to pick either a top laner or a mid laner and see where they're going to send that Lissandra. I would have to assume Lissandra is going to be top lane right now, just because I don't like the Lissandra versus Orianna matchup for Lissandra. So, see if they grab someone. It actually does look like it will be a mid laner being picked up, as it is Veigar currently being hovered.
That's actually really surprising for me to see, but we have seen Veigar being played quite a bit in the challenger scene, picking up an early Luden's Echo to make sure that his clear with his Q is actually extremely fast. It looks like DG
okay, now he's just cycling through a whole lot of stuff.
It looks like he's going to stick with the... No, he actually switches over to the Xerath at the last minute. Xerath, like we saw last game, a very decent laner, very easy at clearing the waves. Struggles a bit in lane if he gets pressured by the jungle, though, and it looks like they have a bit more pressure to come out of the blue side this time. That may or may not go towards the mid and top lane, seeing as how they do have a lot of lockdowns coming from the top laner of Maokai and the mid laner of Orianna. However, really exactly the same, we do have Nautilus, who is an extremely powerful jungler. Even before 6, his ganks are extremely devastating because he can lock somebody down for so long and have his laners just do a huge burst of damage before they can even try and use a summoner spell to try and escape.
Yeah, and there is going to be a bit of problems for the red team that I can see them just being able to get through the damage, because they have a lot of tankiness, a lot of lockdown, but not a ton of big sustained damage to be able to get through the tank line of Maokai and Jarvan. That's going to become, especially if Lulu ults one of them, or Xerath can try and jump on someone, or of course Nautilus can use his ultimate on somebody, Lissandra, but then Lulu just puts an ult on whoever Static targets. Lulu can just put an ultimate on and really just give them so much survivability. Combined with, you have a barrier for Orianna if some other tankier and shield items come out from Katsuo, they can really survive a lot of the sort of all-in that Static is looking to do. And they're really built for a long, extended team fight, I feel.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Right now, what's coming out of the blue team is an extremely heavy protect the Corki combo. They have the shields from Oriana, the shields from Lulu, like you were saying before, and the wild growth coming out of Lulu. And then they have the peel and front line of Jarvan and Maokai. So this Corki is going to be able to do a lot of free damage. However, if he does get engaged on by that Lissandra, she can easily be followed up by that Nautilus if she chooses to use her ultimate on herself rather than on the Corki. Because that's still going to be locking them down for quite a long time. It's going to be interesting to see what Static does, because based on their laners, they have a lot of AP damage, and if they just kind of stack a little bit of magic resist coming out of Katsuo, it's going to be really hard for them to do enough damage, seeing as how Lucian is their only source of AD damage.
Yeah, and it's really, like you said, that's really their only AD. So, and when you have a Maokai who can just sit there, he's going to be perfectly happy building just a whole bunch of magic resist and health items. And that's going to make this Maokai just have a field day once he starts getting those huge tanky stats built up. And he's going to be able to just stand in the middle of the enemy team just with that ultimate running and just literally just be so difficult to kill that I'm not sure if Static has the team built up to deal with that right now.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but it's really going to depend on how this laning phase goes, because even when it comes down to team fights, what matters a lot is how the laning phase goes, to see who really gets ahead, who's able to build their items before the other. Because if the blue team is able to really push ahead, get Maokai above on this Lissandra and get this Oriana above on this Xerath, it's going to be really hard for the red team to focus so much on their team fight potential when they're just going to be bursted down when they try to go in.
So we do have just a couple seconds left before we get on over to the loading screen. Take a quick look at the summoner spells. Of course, we do have the teleports from both Maokai and Lissandra. The Ignite actually being come through with Xerath in that mid lane to go against the Oriana, obviously having the barrier. So other than that, not really anything different between the two teams. We do just wait for that loading screen to come on in. There we go. On the blue side, we have Katsuo with Zenivia on the Dragonwing Corki, the B-Boy Tricky 2G with Bladecraft Oriana in the mid lane. Jungling is Tylor 656 on Morgan Kingdom's Jarvan IV. Kirigaya Senpai in the top lane on Classic Maokai, and Wicked Lulu as the support for Bobby Chan 1000.
And on Static, we see Sapphire Tree on Bloodstone Lissandra. Monkey Dude on Classic Lucian, Raunchy Spider as a support on Blood Moon Thresh, Ninja Kiwis on Astronautilus in the jungle, and D Jeter 9 on Battlecast Xerath there in that mid lane. Between these two teams, we had a theme going there for Static, but looks like they decided to send Lucian and Nautilus not to be a part of the Red Squad, so unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I mean, we have Bloodstone, Blood Moon. Very similar between Lissandra and Thresh, but I don't think Nautilus and Lucian even have a skin that has a lot of red on it. So
that is true. They could have picked Callista, but they banned it. But
yeah,
despite that, it looks like we're just waiting for the Ninja Kiwis, Raunchy Spider, and Monkey Dude to go ahead and load into the game.
So hopefully we'll be getting on into the Rift in just a moment here. I do feel like it's going to be interesting to see how the two junglers, when they really start ganking and deciding to come out of the jungle. I mean, in our first game of the day, we saw that both junglers kind of just hung around in their jungle until they hit that level 6 before really trying to make any movements in the side lanes or even in the mid lane. But I feel like with Nautilus and Jarvan, that's not going to be the case. I feel like both of them are going to be looking to try and get involved early on, and get their team rolling, and try and get a lead built up.
Yeah, like I said before, it is going to depend heavily on how this laning phase goes, and if it goes well for these teams, then it's going to be interesting to see what happens when it comes down to team fights, because if they go even, the team fighting is going to be in favor of the red team. If blue team gets ahead in the laning phase, it's going to be rough for the red team. However, they can still make the plays if there is some sloppy play coming out from Katsuo. So it looks like we're going to get these guys running down their base. Nautilus is going to be starting potentially on the blue side. Jarvan starting on his red side, maybe going to start the Krugs. Nautilus starting the Gromp, making his clear a lot faster in the early game. Just like Sejuani, one of the bigger problems with Nautilus as the jungler is the fact that he tends to have a very slow early game clear, only because of the fact that he doesn't really do that much damage to jungle camp. Meanwhile, Bobby Chen 1000 going to be caught out there.
Going to be walking in to the enemy team. That is all 5 members there, and that is going to be first blood being picked up. Lucian grabbing that first blood kill, so not the person you want to be seeing that first blood go over to if you are Katsuo.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. Not only that, the kill went over to that Lucian, which is a bigger problem at the long run, because now he's going to be an item ahead of their Corki. When it comes down to about 10 minutes into the game, he's going to be able to go back, get that BF sword very soon, compared to the Corki being able to pick up a Sheen or a Phage, depending on what he starts with, because he probably will go ahead and go with that Trinity Force start. But the fact that everybody got an assist out of that means that they're sitting on a little bit of extra gold. Nautilus is going to be very happy to have that, because that means he's going to be able to get his jungle item even sooner and be able to get tanky a lot quicker than this Jarvan is going to be able to.
Yeah, with everyone getting an assist, it's not that much gold. It's about 30 gold per player. So, you know, it's an advantage of a potion, really, so it's not too big. But, as you mentioned, with the jungler item, being able to get that recall in, you know, just a little bit sooner, get that jungle item a little bit quicker, and start stacking the bonus gold off of the upgraded jungle item that much faster can actually make a big difference in the long run.
So right now, as we see, we do see Lissandra laning against this Maokai. No lane swap coming out here. But it looks like Maokai just going to be kind of ignoring this Lissandra. The damage that she's going to be putting out isn't too much for him to deal with, but he is going to have to be careful if he just eats those Qs coming out of her. Bobby Chan 1000 getting hooked by that Thresh of Raunchy Spider, but Monkey Dude going to be taking quite a bit of damage from that Corki in the long run as well.
Yeah, all in all, a pretty even trade coming out of that bottom lane.
Looking in the mid lane, we see Orianna struggling a little bit against that Xerath, taken down to about half HP. She's going to be forced to use her Biscuit of Rejuvenation. But right now in the bot lane, we see Lucian actually getting pushed in slightly by this Corki, which is not going to be good for him, because he's going to have a little bit of trouble farming under turret unless this Thresh actually does successfully help him out.
Yeah, and it's, you know, even though Lucian did get that first blood, it's just a little bit of an experience bonus in effectively, because he wasn't able to go and spend any of that gold, and that he got the 400 first blood gold. He wasn't able to spend that, so in terms of items, they're still exactly dead even. So it's really only just that small bit of experience that he got for the kill, and that's not going to have a huge impact on the laning phase itself. So Corki right now just really bullying the Lucian around a bit, getting a small CS lead that it's going to try and continue to increase as the laning phase continues. So right now, Orianna forced to chug her last Biscuit of Rejuvenation. Didn't know you could actually drink them. A little mistake on my part. But right now, Xerath is actually sitting very nicely here in this mid lane, getting about even in farm, but he's just dealing so much damage from his poke. But Maokai, he's actually taking no damage in that top lane anymore. He's actually ahead in CS compared to this Lissandra. She is at 10. He's already at almost 20. So she's going to have to work on focusing less on poke. One thing that's really interesting I want to point out is the fact that actually you're going to have to hold that as Nautilus is starting to make his way up top, going to be ganking this Maokai. He was pushed so far up that they're going to get a lot of damage onto him. However, I'm not sure if they have enough to actually get the kill. He's going to flash away, but Lissandra actually wants it. She's going to flash after him, but Maokai is going to just be able to get under his turret and force them to have to back off. So, and especially with J4 coming over the wall as well to help out, that is not going to be a kill getting picked up. But I was saying before, Jarvan actually went back after clearing just the red portion of his jungle and bought just wards and potions instead of waiting to go back so that he could upgrade his jungle item. So in the end, I'm not sure if it's actually going to really delay him too much, because actually we see Nautilus going back and not upgrading his jungle item either. But we do see, oh my goodness, Orianna going to be falling to the Xerath, and Xerath just really showing that he's a dominant mid laner.
It's actually really surprising to see such an aggressive play coming out of the Xerath. One of the biggest differences right now between this Xerath and the Xerath that we saw last game coming out of Legendary Threats is the fact that this Xerath actually opted to go ahead and go for the Ignite over the
Jarvan
barrier.
going to be trying to... Yeah, Jarvan trying to get in onto the Xerath, but not going to have enough damage. And Xerath, of course, seeing him coming with that ward he placed. And actually, looks like we may have a disconnect, and there's actually going to be the pause coming out from the blue side. Yep.
Yeah, it looks like support disconnected, so we're going to go ahead and get back into the game shortly. Just waiting for Bobby Chan 1000 to go ahead and reconnect. It looks like he already did. Right now, between these two teams, the jungle matchup is going to be extremely interesting to see what happens, because Jarvan unable to do anything so far, and he's actually going to be extremely far behind considering he didn't opt for a jungle item.
Oh,
but
he's going to go you mentioned Jarvan being too far behind. Oh man, he jumps right onto the Xerath, and so much for being so far behind. He's going to be able to get back to base with a good amount of gold after picking up that kill. However, Static trying to take advantage of a situation and go for this dragon, but Jarvan really looking to make plays. He gets in and gets the dragon. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this, but he's looking for a kill. Corki coming over the wall. They're going to be able to pick up a kill, and Katsuo is looking very good after that trade, going to get the dragon and a double kill onto Corki. Now Thresh is actually in a bit of trouble. They're going to continue to try and chase. His phosphorus bomb is going to land. Jarvan getting some good damage down, but they are not going to be able to tower dive that. And wow, Jarvan making plays happen. Tyler 656 just showing up right there in the mid lane and dragon pit.
Yeah, that was a fantastic move there by Tyler. Making sure immediately after that pause, he just went in on that Xerath, knowing the amount of damage that he was going to be able to put out thanks to his martial cadence actually being off cooldown. The huge burst of damage going out onto Xerath, I'm pretty sure he was not exactly expecting it. But Xerath is still going to be doing just fine against the Orianna, but if the Jarvan continues to go up to the mid lane and harass down that Xerath, it's going to be really hard for him to actually go ahead and get the advantage back onto that Orianna.
Okay, looking to get a kill onto the Lissandra. The ultimate pops with a lot of damage on it. He doesn't quite get the kill, and Lissandra's just going to ult herself just to be safe, but I feel like if she had ulted the Maokai while he was under the turret, she could have very easily picked up a kill. Now Nautilus is going to try and make his presence felt in the mid lane. Orianna doesn't have much mana, but she has enough. Actually, no, that was the barrier. I'm sorry, not the shield. But now Jarvan going to try and make some more plays while Xerath tries to finish off the Orianna, not quite having enough damage. The Nautilus somehow managed to stay alive as well, and there's going to be a kill for the Xerath.
Extremely unfortunate for that Orianna. She actually went ahead and just stayed around just a little too long. Xerath kind of walking around the minions trying to make sure that he was able to secure the kill before being forced to back away thanks to that Jarvan. Jarvan is level 6 though, so he's going to be doing a lot more thanks to the fact that he does have his Cataclysm up. Meanwhile in the bot lane, Corki does get
nice death sentence
the
landing onto Corki, but the damage is being turned right back onto Static's face as Thresh taking pretty low, about half health for him. So despite the death sentence landing, Corki has so much damage on him right now because of a, I believe he has a slight level advantage. No, actually, oh, I thought Corki was 6. That was my mistake. But still, the double kill onto Corki from before, when they do go back, which they just did, he picks up that Phage and an Amplifying Tome and boots. So going to be heading back to lane pretty strong, although Lucian does have that BF sword now. So it's going to be definitely continue to be close matchup. And Lucian has been holding up very well, but that double kill that Corki grabbed just helped him out so much by that Dragon Pit.
And one thing to note is that this Xerath is just doing a ridiculous amount of damage to this Orianna. Orianna's still only sitting on a Chalice of Harmony, whereas the Xerath, when I had bought a Blasting Wand, he's also sitting on a Forbidden Idol and a Doran's Ring. So he's just doing so much with so much mana sustain right now. Orianna can't really do much. And it looks like Nautilus coming in for the return gank onto Orianna. She is sitting on absolutely no mana.
Yeah, Orianna is just in a lot of trouble here. You're going to get pulled in, and Nautilus backing away so that Xerath can get the kill secured for himself. So great unselfish play from Nautilus, making sure they get the mid laner nice and fed, allows Xerath to just be putting out a ton of damage when team fights do start breaking out.
Not only that, looks like Jarvan actually opted to go ahead and take the blue buff for himself. The biggest problem right now for this Orianna is the fact that her mana regen is extremely low right now. And we see Nautilus coming in
down bottom. He's going to be, the culling is being thrown out, and Corki is taking a lot of those shots, but there's really nothing else being done to them, as they were just in a really nice position to just be able to completely back off of that. They did take a good chunk of damage, and now Nautilus is going to take out that pink ward. Corki trying to defend it, but knowing that he really can't go full in on him. So it end up being no deaths in that bottom lane from that gank.
Yeah, definitely. One thing to notice that the Corki, instead of buying a Sheen, like going for that really early game damage, he actually went ahead and bought a Phage, giving him a lot more tankiness here in that early game. Mainly because of the fact that obviously it does build out of a Ruby Crystal, gives you about 200 health, which is helping this Corki a ton, which is why he was able to go ahead, eat all of those shots from the culling without really having to worry about being forced to back off. But he was able to deal just as much damage right back to Lucian.
Jarvan coming in for a gank a little bit late. He's going to be going underneath the turret and getting hooked immediately, taking a lot of damage from that tower, and Lucian's going to be able to dash forward with that piercing shot and get himself a kill, but now Lucian having to back off, he's in a world of trouble. The box being put down by Thresh, but that's just to make sure that they don't continue to try and dive. And very nicely done by Lucian, getting himself a kill and then getting out of harm's way.
Yeah, the Lucian was able to really nicely secure that with the flash piercing light, but that means he's actually going to have a bit of a struggle whenever Jarvan decides to actually make a return gank within the next few minutes. But it looks like Maokai going to be caught up here by the Nautilus yet again.
Lissandra once again ulting herself. Yeah, Lissandra ulting herself again, but looks like Maokai is going to once again not quite be able to get away. Nautilus flashing in underneath the turret to be able to pick up the kill. Now going to recall in a very risky spot. Jarvan's going to find him and just kill him with the swag flag. Doesn't even need to drag himself to it. Just the flag alone picking himself up the kill. So both junglers being very, very active in this game, which is exactly what we expected to happen.
One thing that's really unfortunate there, Lissandra, this is twice now that once she hit level 6, Lissandra has opted to ult herself over actually ulting onto the Maokai, which both times have resulted in either her not being able to pick up the kill for herself or nothing able to happen at all. Because you need to use that CC on that big Maokai, before he gets big rather. He's sitting only on a Catalyst Protector and a Blasting Wand, as well as a Ruby Crystal. You're sitting on a Haunting Guise. You will be able to do enough damage if you can land that ultimate and then just cast a couple of your Qs once while he's in it and once it starts to phase out of it. But had she ulted onto the Maokai instead of using it on herself, that would have been a kill secured without the Nautilus actually going down there. Meanwhile, looks like in the mid lane, the Orianna was forced to flash back towards her tower, but it looks like Xerath maybe going to try and pick up the kill onto Orianna, but the barrier is going to go ahead and save her there. Jarvan's actually chasing onto the Nautilus.
Beautiful stun coming out from the Xerath onto the Jarvan is very likely going to save Nautilus's life as he uses that anchor to drag himself to the wall and get himself out safely. Very, very close to kills going for both sides. But yeah, you were talking about Lissandra and ulting herself instead of her opponent. And not only does it provide the CC onto your opponent, but it also lets you continue to put out damage while the ultimate is down, which ulting yourself, she can't do any extra damage aside from the ultimate. So definitely if she was putting these ultimates onto Maokai, I feel like there would have been 2 extra kills for Lissandra instead of the assists that she got, and then of course earlier she just completely missed out on a kill, I feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And right now, you see how much damage she's able to put out, right? She's able to put out so much damage to this Maokai just on her Q alone, and she's not really taking advantage of the fact that she's able to output so much damage. Yes, Lissandra got nerfed, but that doesn't mean that her laning phase has gotten any weaker, and the fact that this Maokai hasn't opted to get any magic resist yet is a humongous factor as to why she could actually win these fights if she does go for them. But as you can see, look, he's already taken down to about 1/4 of his HP. Let's see what
she's going to go in with fingers. That time, she ults Maokai and picks herself up a kill. So Malachi's definitely going to have a lot of trouble against Lysandra coming forward because, as long as she ults him, she just has so much damage and he really can't sustain it up. He does have a bit of a heal on his passive, but nowhere near frequently enough to deal with a lane bully like a Lysandra. However, we do see Jarvan and Nautilus going to be finding each other, and Jarvan just winning out this trade very heavily. Nautilus just trying to use his CC to prevent himself from going down, but Jarvan is just going to land that ultimate and make himself some Nautilus pancakes. However, Xerath is looking for the kill. The bottom lanes, both of them starting to roam up, but Jarvan is going to get himself out of danger. However, a death sentence not quite landing by Thresh onto the Orianna. That definitely would have been a death sentence for her with the Xerath right there waiting. Fortunately, the death sentence did miss, so Orianna lives to stay in this lane for now, but she needs to be careful. She's very low on health, and with that range of Xerath, all he has to do is pop that ultimate, and he could pick himself up a kill, as long as, unless Orianna dodges out, but we're actually going to be seeing another pause coming through. So hopefully the issue, yep, it looks like Tyler actually having a bit of a problem there, so hopefully he'll be able to get back in shortly, and we don't have to worry too much about it.
And just so you know, guys, Nautilus pancakes will be on sale at your local IHOP for $19.99 for a limited time only.
Really? And you were complaining about me before?
Yeah, and I will continue to complain about you.
So, with that pause coming out, it will just be, hopefully, he'll be able to get himself reconnected to the game quickly, and we can get back into the action. Both teams doing rather well. A very close game. Only about a 600 gold difference between the two. So between these two teams right now, I'm going to give the slight edge over to the blue team, actually. They do have a Jarvan. Their solo laners are getting extremely far behind. However, they have an AD carry that's going to hit his mid-game spike relatively soon. And they have a Jarvan that's extremely fed, especially considering it's only 15 minutes into the game. He's sitting at 3-1 and 2. Yeah, Jarvan actually getting back into the game, so we are unpaused, and Thresh immediately landing a death sentence onto the Lulu. She's going to get stunned up by Xerath as well, and just taking so low. Orianna dancing around in the back lines and is going to get picked off. When you're that low on health and mana, you need to just get out of dodge. She wasn't going to be able to help out the team, and instead just gets clipped with the very edge of Xerath. And now Corki going to get hit by another death sentence, and this is the Static just jumping in underneath the tower, picking themselves up another kill, not losing anybody for that, and picking up 2 kills of their own. And that's going to be the first tower of the game falling in favor of Static. That was a very nice team fight there for Static. They were able to just use the tankiness of their team to go ahead and just tank up all that damage. Meanwhile, Xerath did get taken extremely low, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter considering all of the damage output coming out of Lucian was just going off on the right people at the right time. Orianna sitting at 0-4-0 really needs to get herself back into the game. She went ahead and bought herself an Elixir of Sorcery. She hasn't even finished her Chalice of not Chalice of Harmony, I'm sorry, the Athene's and Holy Grail. I'm really surprised to see that she got the blue pot already, but meanwhile Jarvan's gonna be fighting himself with Xerath. Jarvan jumping in onto Xerath, finding himself a kill. Jarvan get the kill onto the Thresh. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Orianna just in another terrible situation as Xerath picks up his 5th kill of the game. So 2 kills going over to the Corki, but another kill being picked up by Xerath. And it's really going to be a battle between Xerath and Corki at this point to see who can sort of out-carry right now. 5-2-1 on the Xerath, 4-0-0 for Corki, and now they're going to be finding Nautilus as well. They want to finish off this tower first. Nautilus, you need to get out of there, as he's just trying to defend the tower, but it's not going to be enough. And thankfully for him, he has the support of the Xerath to scare away the 3 members of Katsuo.
Yeah, that was a fantastic job on their part. One thing to note, actually, this Jarvan is going for a full damage build. It looks like he's going to be going maybe for the Ravenous Hydra next, or a Last Whisper to deal with the tankiness that's going to be coming out of Static. Lissandra doing a lot more damage now. She went ahead, bought herself a Seeker's Arm Guard, basically going to give herself that second Zonia, since she does indeed have her ultimate, being able to go ahead and use it on herself. But Maokai still sitting on an uncompleted Rod of Ages. He should have finished that before, since he did go for that early. And it looks like the Flag and Drag Cataclysm going to be going out.
So aggressive from this Jarvan, but not able to pick up a kill this time. Orianna just trying to make an escape, using that ball to get a little bit more speed, and she will not be able to get away. Oh my goodness, the max range from D Jeter 9 picking himself up another kill. And I think we're gonna have to see some Xeraths getting banned, because this is the 2nd game in a row that Xerath has just been phenomenally strong.
Oh, and it looks like in the bot lane we see Lulu gonna get engaged on. She gets hooked by the Thresh, and it's gonna be Monkey Dude picking up the kill there on that Lucian. Xerath getting an assist for himself there thanks to his ultimate. Meanwhile, Jarvan gonna be roaming down as well to make sure that tower gets defended. Dragon is still not live, and it's not gonna be live anytime soon. So Jarvan maybe gonna be making the aggressive play here. He's gonna get sentenced by that Thresh. Meanwhile, Lucian gonna be roaming up to try and do the damage.
Corki and just peppering damage from the back lines though. And that's gonna be actually... the exhaust gonna be saving the Static right there, and now Jarvan's in a lot of trouble. He wants to go back in. So aggressive, almost getting himself a double kill, but not quite, and not able to stay alive long enough for the Orianna to get in there either. So great job from Static picking up those kills, and again that absolutely clutch exhaust coming out from the Thresh, being able to let them get the kill onto Corki. But however, Orianna wants blood. She finally gets herself on the scoreboard with the kill onto Thresh. And with that vision in that brush, there's just nothing Thresh could have done about that. Oh, now we see Orianna going to be in a bit of trouble here. He's going to get collapsed on by the Nautilus. The rest of the Static is right behind both Lulu there. Orianna's going to be able to stay alive. For now, at least. We said that in mid lane a couple times, and then those max range W's from Xerath just managing to pick her off, but not going to happen this time.
It's Q.
Is this, I thought it was a W.
It's his Q.
Oh, I don't play mid lane champions, so. But we do see, meanwhile, up in this top lane, still just kind of doing their own thing. You know, no one's really paying attention until Jarvan's coming in behind Lissandra. Jarvan looking to make a play. What a beautiful flag and drag, predicting the claw usage and knocking up Lissandra as she uses it. Unfortunately, it didn't turn into a kill, but that was a phenomenal play from Tyler656. However, down by the Dragon Pit, we are going to be having a bit of a fight. However, the numbers is heavily in Static's advantage as they pick up the kill onto Lulu, almost getting Corki, but he will be able to get away. The culling being used by Lucian to scare them away, and this should be the Dragon going over to Static. However, they are going to be trading away this top tower. Although Lissandra actually going in far, maybe trying to just save the tower a bit, and it's not going to do enough though.
Actually, no, it's going to be just fine, because they're going to be able to go ahead and take this middle tower from the mid lane of Katsuo. That's actually going to do so much for our team, because they're going to be missing 2 players. And it looks like the...
Oh, beautiful ultimate, though, from the Orianna. They are still going to pick up this tower, but Katsuo actually opting to pick up that mid lane tower instead of going for Dragon, but now they're going to move very likely over towards that objective. There's some pings going out from Katsuo, but Static, it was Static that opted to get the tower instead of Dragon, my apologies, but ended up just trading a tower for a tower, but Static picking up the inner tower mid while only losing their outer tower up top. That's definitely a trade in Static's favor, and while, yeah, she did stall, prevent Maokai and Jarvan from being able to go help the team, I'm still not a huge fan of that decision to go back in that situation.
I wouldn't have gone back in either. She went in with her Frozen Claw, which is the biggest problem there. She should have saved that for her escape and just kind of walked back in, ulted onto herself. That way they were forced to stay under the tower, because that would have cleared out the minion wave anyway. Stunned them up with her W and then used the Frozen Claw to get away. She had enough mana to go ahead and do that, so had she done that, she actually might have been able to live in that situation, as well as maybe picked up a kill.
Yeah, so we do see the Dragon did not get picked up, so it is still live. Both teams going to be looking towards that objective as they both have that first one. Meanwhile, Lucian trying to get some damage onto that bottom tower. Corki just showing up to stop that. Both the teams, with the exception, again, of those top laners, are going to be hanging around this area. Everyone is in the general vicinity. We could have a fight break out. Have to see a nice death sentence landing onto the Jarvan. Nautilus is going to be going in as well, but here comes J4, just so aggressive, straight onto the back lines. As soon as this fight starts, he's going to knock up the Nautilus. He's taken very low this time. Not enough for a kill, and now Lucian actually going to be the one getting turned on. Corki Valkyrieing in with that ultimate, gets the shutdown. What a great shot from Corki. Actually almost picked up a second kill as well, but I think he's going to be more than happy picking up the AD carry there. And now Katsuo going to try and push in, take this middle tower, and give themselves actually a tower advantage despite being down 4 kills. Playing really well right now. Both teams very even. And now actually Thresh is going to be getting picked up by Orianna. Nautilus trying to get in, but he needs to be careful. Corki's just trying to get damage onto Xerath in the back lines. Great job by him just ignoring the tank for now and just putting damage onto Xerath, forcing him to back away, because if Xerath is getting focused, he can't be putting damage out into the fight. And now Katsuo just going to move on over to the Dragon. We do see Static starting to make their way down. This could be a very interesting fight. There's not really too many low health bars for Katsuo. They pick up the Dragon, and Static actually just making the call to back out of there, not wanting to give up any more kills.
Not only that, it's going to be their second Dragon of the game, meaning Katsuo are actually one Dragon up onto Static. Despite the fact that they were struggling a bit during the early game, they're actually ahead in gold now and ahead in a tower, as well as a Dragon, despite being behind in kills. So if they manage to keep up this very slight lead and just extend it further and further by getting those fights and picking up the advantages where they can, instead of trying to force everything and end up fighting fights that are being dictated by Static, they actually might be able to pull out the win here, despite the fact that they've been struggling so hard. But it looks like Orianna going to be caught out here by this Lissandra. Is she going to be able to escape here?
Just going to get that move speed and slow. Yeah, going to be stopping the chase with that slow and move speed buff that she gives herself. So getting out of that situation, and she's actually been playing significantly better since those last couple. I mean, a lot of her deaths have just been sticking around a little bit too long with very low health values and not respecting the range of Xerath. So, I mean, she has been playing poorly. It's just, again, not respecting that range has caught her multiple times.
One big problem that I'm seeing right now, Nautilus has not completed his jungle item. He's actually still sitting on the Bammy Cinder as well as the Ranger's Trailblazer. He has not completed Cinder Hulk yet. Meaning the fact that he finished that Warmogs first is actually not doing all that much for him, because he's just very squishy, but he's very squishy, but he's still a big target. If he finishes that Cinder Hulk, the extra health that you get after having all of that HP coming out of Warmogs is actually going to be putting him a lot further ahead. The fact that he hasn't finished that is a humongous problem for him.
Yeah, so right now, I have to say Katsuo has done a great job of coming back. They were actually pretty well behind earlier, not too long ago, actually. And they have just been winning, making better decisions of late and winning a couple of fights. And just like this, they actually have the gold lead right now. So Great job to them. Still a very, very close game, though. You know, you can't really call this one right now. But if things keep going on the current trend they are on, then Katsuo is just going to continue to scale up. And Jarvan and Corki, just their positioning has been so good. They've been very aggressive, but it's sort of a controlled aggression. They've been, despite jumping in, they're jumping in when they know that they can't really have too much return fire on them or be taken out. And it's working very well for them. It's a very unconventional play style, but it is definitely working.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to agree. And right now it seems like Nautilus is going to be maybe trying to get into some sort of position here to go for a fight. Maokai going to be eating some damage from that Xerath, but he's just sitting on that Spirit Visage now as well as the Rod of Ages, so he's not going to take any damage. He's a very healthy
he's
trait.
like, you know, you can do whatever you want to me. I don't really care. And that's what we were talking about that in the pregame, how it's a lot of magic damage coming out from Static, and so Maokai's just they're not going to bother him for much of this game going forward, unless it's a full-on team fight that the rest of his team gets picked off on. He's really going to have no problems. However, we do see Static making a very nice rotation up to this top lane. They had minions pushing in on it, and they're going to be able to pick up that outer tower. So, bringing that gold lead back down to about 1,000 gold, and that's really negligible. When you're talking 5 players, 1,000 gold, that's 200 per player. That's not a huge advantage.
One thing
looks
that
like
the
Nautilus wants to
exactly
get the engagement going on with the ultimate. Maokai going to get himself in the middle as the Culling comes out, not really hitting too many targets, and it's really everything being focused onto this Maokai. He's so healthy though. Meanwhile, the Thresh is going to get dropped very low, having to back out. Corki extremely low. He's going to be the first one to fall, but Lucian follows right after. Now the Xerath ultimate being put down onto the Orianna, trying to get the kill onto her, but Jarvan getting himself a double kill, and now Orianna managing to pick up the kill onto Lissandra. J4 still trying to chase down the Xerath, but I don't think he quite has enough to get in on that. Maokai, look at that. After being in the middle of that fight for so long, Maokai still has over 3/4 health. He is so big, and Katsuo coming out on top of that fight, 3 for 1, absolutely huge for them.
Yeah, this is actually extremely impressive to see how well Katsuo has been playing all these team fights. They did lose Corki in that fight, but they were able to just immediately get that kill right back onto the Jarvan from that Lucian. But Jarvan has just been all over the carries of Static right now. And he's one of the major factors as to why his team is actually being able to pull ahead right now after being behind for so long. However, he is going to have to be careful. He's sitting around in that jungle just a little bit too long. He's going to be running into a Thresh and a Nautilus if he doesn't manage to escape right now. Nautilus is going to see him as he tries to run away, but he's going to be safe, and he's just going to escape right to his own jungle.
Or, you know, just quick detour to beat up on that poor defenseless little scuttle crab. But
it looked at him funny.
So such a good turnaround for Katsuo here. It definitely looks like they just needed a moment to get their feet underneath them, get themselves together. I know, you know, Tyler 656 was a sub that was chosen as a sub for them in the final moments, really kind of a last minute replacement. But definitely fitting in rather well. I think it was just a little bit of them adjusting to his play style, because he has really been leading the charge quite a bit for them. So aggressive on this Jarvan, but 7-2-7, the aggression has been paying off. And as we mentioned, the effect, especially up in that top lane too, Maokai being left alone with Lissandra for so long. Even though Lissandra was able to do a lot of damage, Maokai did so well in CSing. He got himself to be this massive frontline tank that Static is having a lot of trouble trying to get through.
Yeah, Static seems to really be struggling to deal with the Orianna now, actually, because she has been escaping from these fights, and they're focusing her down. Not at all surprising there, but Mikhail's Crucible coming out of Lulu generally has been used onto that Orianna to make sure she's able to escape and still output the damage, as well as cast her Shockwave. But right now, they really need to focus. Katsuo really needs to focus on maybe getting this dragon as soon as possible, which it looks like they're going to try and do now. But they are without their jungler right now. The jungler's just kind of sitting on the offside right now. Meanwhile, Orianna's going to get ulted by that
fight
Nautilus.
breaking out at the Dragon Pit. There's going. Yeah, this is a very hectic team fight. Everyone is just all over the place. The Lissandra is so low. Gonna use that Zonius to keep yourself alive. Meanwhile, Lulu is about to fall. Thresh is actually gonna pick up that kill. But there's the Maokai just sitting in the middle of the team. So big, so tanky, but with nobody else around him, he is going to finally get chopped down to size. And now Jarvan being so aggressive, he gets it and gets the steal and the Cataclysm onto Lucian. What a play from Jarvan. He is just going absolutely crazy, getting the third dragon for his team, and of course just jumping onto Lucian right before he died. Now Orianna is very likely going to be falling here, but doing what she can to try and escape. The long max range Q from Xerath is not going to be enough this time, as she is just barely able to get out of range. And just, wow, Tyler 656, easily the MVP of this game right now. He is just making play after play. And I don't know, they may have to consider making him a permanent replacement. I don't know who their their staple jungler is, but Tyler is definitely showing that he wants a spot on this team.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that he was able to not only secure the dragon, he picked up a kill onto Lucian almost a second after that, because he knew he was gonna die. So he figured, you know what, I'm gonna take you with me, Lucian, make it even more worth for my team.
8-3-8. The Dragon Steel, that's the second one that he's stolen away from Static now. He stole that first one that they had picked up as well. And just I can't stress enough just how good his play has been in really turning the game around here for Katsuo. However, there's going to be another fight. Nautilus trying to engage onto Lulu. The culling not really connecting too many shots. Actually, we see Corki possibly having a disconnect, but the fight is going on, and poor Corki getting blown up there. He did actually just barely go down as the pause came out. So, unfortunately for Katsuo, that slight connection issue is going to cost him his life. So we do have this pause coming out, hopefully again. Unfortunately, it did actually affect the game a little bit this time because they were in the middle of the fight when Corki disconnected. But guess we're going to have to try and work the way around this. If they can manage to get themselves disengaged from this fight. It does look like it will be a double kill going over for Lucian as the game is unpaused. And now Lissandra going to get herself in, getting that ultimate down onto the Orianna. That is a triple kill for Lucian. And now it could be a quadra. Nope. Sapphire Tree on Lissandra picking up that fourth kill. But that is 4 kills for Static. And they are just going to push their way down this mid lane. And it's unfortunate it comes off the heels of a disconnect. But that is unfortunately just, something that you have to deal with and be wary of in a situation like this. And now they're just going to have Nautilus tank up this inhibitor turret. And that is going to be the inhibitor tower falling in favor of Static. 35 minutes in, the first inhibitor will be going down here in this mid lane. They're not going to be able to push any further, though, as respawns are beginning to happen for Katsuo. But that is just a big blow to Katsuo.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Katsuo to have been so ahead for so long and just immediately fall flat on their faces after the wave of a disconnect from that Corki. Really unfortunate for them. But right now, they did lose their middle inhibitor. However, it's not completely against them right now. They are still not too far behind, only about 1,000 gold behind. So they still have a very clear chance of actually coming back in this game.
Yeah, so they're going to have to claw their way back up again. They've done it once already, though. So, they have the chance of doing it again. It wouldn't be that much of a surprise if they could do it again, because with that Corki being there involved in the fight, they would have a much better chance. But Static did just pick up a lot of gold from that last push.
Yeah, they definitely did. Right now, looking at the Xerath, he looks like to be completing maybe a Luden's Echo here because he is sitting on an Aether Wisp. He already has the Rabadons and Narella Namicon completed, as well as the needlessly large Wad, so wouldn't be surprising to see that coming out of him. But one thing that is actually really surprising is how far behind he has actually fallen in farm. Most of the farm actually has been going over to Lucian and Lissandra, as you could see. Lissandra's even clearing out some jungle camps because they're just trying to get the large CC chain and their AD carry extremely fed, since they are stacking quite a bit of magic resist coming out of Katsuo here because of the Mikhail's Crucible, as well as the Spirit Visage.
Yeah, we do have right now both teams kind of getting in position, going to be looking to get some vision down as Dragon will be up in a little over a minute and a half, and Katsuo definitely going to be looking to pick up that 4th Dragon, get themselves one step away from having that aspect of the Dragon buff, and of course Static going to be wanting to make sure that that doesn't happen, because if a team manages to get that 5th Dragon, it is just so powerful. But they are going to have these super minions pushing down the mid lane in their favor, which Katsuo's going to have to go back to make sure they deal with those. And just getting that inhibitor down is just such a huge advantage for a team. It really helps open up the map because of the fact that you need to be constantly defending those lanes. So, with actually, it looks like Katsuo's going to be moving on towards to stop this push. They defended that inner tower, and now Maokai going in onto the Lissandra. The shockwave is going to come out, only hitting one person though, and Lucian is just doing work. He's completely untouched right now, picking up 2 kills for Static now, and Maokai just going to try and be that big tanky tree in the front, keeping the Corki safe. But that is 2 kills for none in favor of Static, and they're just going to take down this tower now. Corki in a lot of trouble. He has to get out of there, uses the flash to back away, and Maokai is going to fall. Xerath and Lucian just being too big right now, and that is going to be a 3 kills going over to Static. And it's really starting to not look very good for Katsuo. They were doing so well for so long there, but unfortunately, Static is just starting to pull back ahead, taking out this 2nd inhibitor tower. They should be able to get the inhibitor as well. Jarvan is going to be over picking up that 4th dragon, but at what cost, as they are just losing their base at the moment. Static is continuing to just stick around here. They have super minions pushing it onto those Nexus towers. It does look like they're going to start backing off. But Jarvan does get that 4th dragon, but now the engagement is happening. That is going to be Orianna having to use that Zhonya's and then flash away with the ultimate from Lulu. So staying alive, but burning a lot to do so. Jarvan needs to be careful that he doesn't come back through a bad pathway. He is actually going to get collapsed on here. A beautiful flay, but it's not enough. The Cataclysm shutting down Xerath, and now Jarvan going to be able to get out of there. And Tyler 656, what plays? Like, you could just make a highlight reel of just his play from this game. This is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, this is actually extremely hilarious to see how well he's actually been doing. He's just instantly killing that Xerath, not even giving him a chance to... oh wait, no, he actually doesn't even have his Zhonya's, but this is actually maybe the Baron in favor of Katsuo. If they're able to pick up this Baron, it's going to even out the gold. The gold difference is actually still not even that much. However, they are going to have to be careful as that super minion wave is pushing in that top side, and they do have a Lucian on the other side of that Baron pit to try and make the steal. Nautilus is over the wall as well. Is he going to try and go for the flash? No, he actually does not get the steal. Going to
get the steal. Maokai picking up the Baron, and now Nautilus jumping in. He immediately gets transmogrified, but not going to be able to really do a whole lot of damage to him. They're just focusing on trying to get keep the Lucian away from the fight. Meanwhile, Tyler 656 goes in, but it is just going to be Static backing off for now. Lissandra throwing in that claw, doesn't follow it up, and they are going to be disengaging. But Baron picked up for Katsuo, and that's definitely one of the ways to get yourself back into the game. However, Lucian on the backside, going to get squished down by Jarvan, and then he immediately starts to make his escape. Oh, he's looking to go for the Xerath now, too. He wants blood. Tyler 656, he is going to get it. He does fall, but picking up 2 kills. Meanwhile, Lissandra actually going in onto the Orianna. The Zhonya's from Orianna going to keep herself alive, but just nothing that she can do as soon as that is over. And Lissandra picking up the double kill. And so despite Jarvan getting the 2 kills on the carries, still a couple of kills going back over to Static. And now they're going to just push in, try and get that middle inhibitor, which has respawned. But Tyler 656, it doesn't matter how this game turns out. He's going to be able to walk away from this game very happy with the plays he's been making. But Katsuo going to be defending, actually pushing them away from this mid tower. They don't have Xerath, they don't have Lucian. Gonna have to back away, and there's a big minion wave crashing into that tower bottom, which is where they're going to be turning to, trying to pick that up. Corki doing what he can to defend it, but Nautilus is just so tanky, and Corki has no, really only the Black Cleaver for armor penetration, and it's just going to be way too much health on this Nautilus for him to stop that.
Yeah, the fact that the Nautilus also has a Frozen Heart means the Corki's not going to be able to deal as many auto attacks as he normally would be able to. One thing I'm surprised to see is that he actually went for that Black Cleaver as his second completed item. I'm not too much of a fan of that. I would have rather gotten the Last Whisper, considering the amount of armor that the enemy team has been building.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. There is just armor all over the place. I mean, you have a little bit of armor on Lissandra from the Zonias. You have, of course, Nautilus just being so big. You've got the Warden's Mail being built by Thresh now that they've gotten some magic resist from the Locket, and it's going to be really tough for Katsuo to get to burn through those tanks. But right now, that's really all they have to do, though, is just burn through those tanks, because you have Jarvan. He's been so consistently able to just jump in on the back lines and just completely take out either Lucian or Xerath, or sometimes both. So as long as he can continue to do that, Katsuo is going to constantly be in this game, because all they have to do at that point is take out the Lissandra and the Nautilus, and they're home free. So let's see if they can continue to do this. They have that Baron buff still, but not for too much longer. Unfortunately, not really able to do a whole lot with it, but at the same time, they prevented Static from picking it up themselves, which is probably just as, if not almost more important than the fact that they had the buff.
Definitely, I'm going to have to agree here. And it looks like right now, the game's just kind of going to a lull. Not a lot going on around the map. There are 8 towers in favor of Static and only 3 in favor of Katsuo. The Jarvan is doing extremely well, but he's only going full damage. Once he goes in and gets the kills, he will die. Simple as that, if he actually does go in the middle of a team fight.
Mm-hmm.
However, if they do stall out long enough to maybe pick up that 5th dragon, it actually might push a team fight in their edge as well.
And we're going to find out in about a minute is when that dragon respawns. And this is going to be a very, very interesting fight, because it could very well be the last fight of the game. We're up over 45 minutes. Death timers are going to be extremely long. And so if Katsuo is able to win the team fight and then use that aspect of or able to at least get the dragon and then use that to win a team fight, they could very easily turn the game around. But if Static can win the fight, then they're going to be able to just push into Katsuo's base and finish things off, as Maokai going to take a little bit of damage, pop that ultimate, but of course that'll be back up in just about, I think it's 25 seconds. So he's going to have plenty of time there. Both teams going to start moving towards this Dragon Pit. We've got about 10 seconds until this objective is up, and this is a very tense moment of the game for both teams. Whichever way this fight goes could very, very easily decide the outcome of this match and figure out who goes 1-0 and who is 0-1 in this first day of the L.A.S.T. And the Dragon's actually being started up by Static now. All of Katsuo is on the opposite side of the Dragon Pit. They have a warden there, so they can see just how far down it is. There's Tyler going in. He steals the Dragon! Tyler 656 picking up the Dragon for his team. And now the fight is going to go down. They have so much damage with that aspect of the Dragon buff. Nautilus is on the wrong side from his team, completely split up. Xerath and Lissandra both going down very low. Nobody has fallen yet. Xerath is going to be, not actually, Lucian picking up the kill, as Jarvan did get hooked in, and that could be bad news for Katsuo. They have the aspect of the Dragon, but they are backing away from this fight. Xerath and Lissandra are both extremely low, but they don't want to fight this without their Jarvan. So they're going to be backing off for now, but what a play. Tyler 656. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable what he has done this game.
I'm
speechless.
Phenomenal job. That's the 5th dragon right there. in favor of his team, and I think that's like the fourth one that he's stolen.
The third one that he stole, he soloed one, and his team just were able to just completely pick up one. But the third Dragon steal of the game, wow, Tyler 656. If he didn't get hooked by that Thresh there, that would have easily been the fight going in favor of Katsuo. And now we're going to see Baron being up in about 30 seconds, and so Katsuo's going to have to make their way up there. They have the aspect of the Dragon buff that they can use in this fight for Baron. You know, getting double of the initial buff to damage to minions is going to definitely help if they try and take Baron themselves, but it's that big 12% extra AD and AP and the true damage burning on hit from the aspect of the Dragon that's going to help them out so much.
Definitely, and it's going to really really be a huge factor coming in the next fight, because it's going to be everybody clumped up around that Baron. Tyler 656 already waiting around the corner. He's waiting to steal that Baron too.
Yeah, they are going to be sitting here waiting for this fight. This is, you know, we thought it was going to be tense before at the 5th Dragon. How about this? Sitting here 48 minutes in with a Baron on the map. Both teams going to be moving around this area. Orianna having that Banshee's Veil to help herself survive the initial damage coming out from Xerath. Nautilus so big after drinking that potion. Scuttle was picked up by Static, so they are going to have vision of that Baron buff area. It looks like Jarvan wants to go towards this mid lane and instead just start pushing that out. Maybe force Static to have to make an answer. But Katsuo, the cards are definitely in their hands right now because of that aspect of the Dragon buff.
However, the Orianna's Banshee's Veil did get popped there by the Xerath Q, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Who's actually going to go ahead, pull the trigger to actually make either a fight happen or actually go for that Baron? Right now, the vision control is definitely in favor of Static, who have a board directly on that Baron pit.
Aspect of the Dragon has worn off as well, so not going to have that big, huge bonus for Katsuo anymore. This is going to be definitely that's what Static was definitely waiting for. You don't want to engage while that buff is up, but with it down, they may be looking to try and get in and make something happen here. I also love what Katsuo is doing, just letting that minion wave push down mid, forcing Static to have to go and defend that tower, and it's really just completely giving up their positioning on the Baron buff. But it actually looks like everyone's going to move towards mid lane now, and Baron kind of being, it's definitely still in their minds, but not being the target at the moment. Both teams just not wanting to make a mistake. There's going to be the Death Sense throwing out front. Thresh just fishing to see if he could find any bites there. Xerath getting a lot of poke damage down. Orianna already down, missing about a quarter of her health. That is not what you want to see.
And this poke coming out of Xerath is ridiculous. With that Luden's Echo, he's actually hitting almost everyone with his Qs now. Even though it's not doing a whole ton of damage, it's actually still providing a lot for his team right now. Orianna
meanwhile, look at bottom lane. There's actually J4 is taking on the bottom tower, but that's going to be the start of the fight for Static. They saw J4 show himself and just went in hard onto the Lulu, picking up that kill easily. Now Maokai, it is taking them so long to kill this Maokai. Jarvan has come in, he has made his appearance. Tyler trying to get the kills, he gets one, but is not able to land himself onto the Lucian to follow that up. Meanwhile, Xerath throwing out his ultimate from the back lines. Corki and Jarvan trying to do what they can to this Nautilus, and there's going to be the kill as Tyler gets onto the Lucian. He's going to chase down the Xerath, and Tyler 656. What a game! Picking up a double kill. That is 4 kills for Katsuo. They are going to push in on this mid lane. They don't have minions with them, but Tyler is just going to tank up this turret, get it destroyed, and they're going to move up towards the inhibitor tower. Are they going to go for this? They are. Tyler's just going to start tanking it up. Corki doing what he can to that tower, but Tyler's taking a lot of damage, and that is going to be the shutdown going over to Lissandra, staying too long. Lissandra getting the double kill. The shockwave from Orianna is going to keep herself alive, but Tyler 656 not respecting the tower damage that those inhibitor lasers do, and that is unfortunate. I feel like they should have taken that inner tower and then just gone straight for Baron. They still have 30 seconds on most of the death timers, even at this point. they easily could have just gone over towards Baron, gotten that buff, and used it to their advantage. But even still, Tyler 656, 14, 6, and 9. He has 14 of his team's 24 kills. This is absolutely ridiculous what he is doing with Jarvan.
And right now the gold is actually in their favor yet again, despite the fact that they have two open inhibitors. They're able to keep themselves in this game very nicely. Dragon is now live. Lulu just kind of walking around it. Being a little nosy Lulu, but it looks like Static are going to be wanting to go for that Baron. They know that Katsuo don't have vision of that Baron, so it's a very opportune time for them to start it. Meanwhile, Maokai is going to be coming in. That big beefy tree is actually going to cause a bit of a problem for them if he's able to get enough vision there. He is sitting on a Thornmail, so if Lucian does decide to auto attack him, he's going to be hurting himself in the long run. Jarvan is nowhere near this Baron, but it doesn't even matter. Maokai alone managed to push them off of that Baron.
And Lulu in a lot of trouble now, though. She's going to get stunned up. The shockwave from Orianna, though, is going to help keep her alive. The Nautilus ultimate, and now the fight is happening, but Lucian is just on the backside being untouched. Corki finally getting in, and Orianna getting a double kill. Xerath does kill Tyler 656, but at what cost? Is it too late as Orianna picking up a triple kill? She has just gotten so much damage over the last few fights. She hasn't really been super effective, but getting enough damage to be able to pick up some kills. And now Corki actually going to fall to the Xerath, though, but that is 3 for 2 in favor of Katsuo, and now they're going to be going in onto this inhibitor tower again. This time Maokai is going to be tanking it up in the end, and they will pick up their first inhibitor tower. Now they turn themselves onto the Nautilus. They need to be careful because Xerath is still there and is still putting out a ton of damage from range. Lulu and Orianna both dropping very low. They need to get out of there, which they will be, but what a back and forth game. These fights are just so close, and it seems like every single time just it ends up being just a couple of small positioning or just a unexpected damage coming out that ends up turning the fight for one team or the other. But Katsuo coming out on top the last few fights are just still clawing their way back in, but it does look like they are going to be losing this dragon. Never mind, actually, they stopped the recalls, maybe looking to try and pick this up. I don't know if that's the best of idea. It is only 2 people there, but Maokai and Lulu not the best at trying to steal a dragon, especially away from the smite, as Nautilus smites that away. Nautilus is now in a, Maokai is in a pretty bad position, but he's so tanky, he's just going to be able to walk away. So, Static able to avoid another aspect of the dragon going over to Katsuo, but they still need to be extremely cautious in these fights because Katsuo has just been looking so strong these last couple team fights.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, the fact that Katsuo have been able to get... They have a 4.4k gold lead right now over... Wow, sorry, I blanked out there a little. They have a 4.4k gold lead over Static right now, and it looks like Jarvan... Oh, is Tyler going to get caught here? And he finally does get caught before being able to do anything. Very bad positional error on his part. This is going to give Static the opportune time to go ahead, go for the Baron, or even go for the push, but it looks like they're going to go ahead, go for that Baron. However, they are going to be seen by the Scrying Orb from that Corki, but it doesn't really matter. They're not going to be able to contest this all that much unless Orianna can land a beautiful 5-man Shockwave, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen just yet. Nautilus just tanking up so much of that damage from the Baron. He's just sitting super strong. Those shields doing so much for him. And he's going to smite over the Baron.
Death Sentence landing onto Orianna. She's going to fall immediately. And now Maokai, he's going to get stuck there as well. And that could be the end for Katsuo here. Such a great performance, but 70-second death timers on both Orianna and Maokai. Still 30 seconds left on J4, and they're just going to push into the base. Thresh actually not with the team right now, just working on clearing out those minions, but everyone else is just going to be taking down these inhibitors. They have 2 of them that they can just pick up without any cares in the world, and Lulu going to be taking a lot of damage there. She is going to fall. Lucian picking himself another kill. 18, 8, and 8 for the Lucian. Kind of been overshadowed a bit by the play from Jarvan on Katsuo, but Lucian's been having himself one fine game as well. And there's going to be Nautilus picking up a kill. Jarvan coming out, though, and picking up 2 kills immediately. Tyler656 may have just saved the game. After almost giving the game away, he just comes back and takes it right back. And now he's going to try and get the kill onto the Thresh as well. Thresh and Nautilus doing what they can, but Tyler656 is just so strong. Unfortunately, the CC is just too much, it seems, but no, he gets the Thresh. Will he be able to get the Nautilus? I don't think so. He is so low on health, but there's the shield, and he gets the double kill. Tyler656, what are you doing, man? This is 1v4. What is going on? Oriana just picked up the kill onto Lissandra, and that is an ace. 50-second death timers, 30 seconds on Lucian and Xerath. It took him almost 30 seconds to kill the Thresh and the Nautilus, but he 1v4'd. What is going on this game? I don't even know. This is just so insane. And now he's gonna go take out the inhibitor by himself. What a game for Tyler656.
Yeah, the fact that he built full damage Jarvan at the same time being a problem if he gets caught, he does an absurd amount of damage, and he does so much. He has a Maw of Malmortius, so for every 2% of his missing health, he's getting attack damage. And he was sitting so low for most of that fight, he was actually able to push through the tankiness that Nautilus had.
Oh my, I don't even know what is going on. This is just absolutely crazy. They were so close to ending the game there, but J4 with the save, literally saving the game for his team there. What do you do? What do you do in this situation? Lucian finally getting himself a Guardian Angel, so he's going to be able to at least survive. You know, once J4 jumps on him and instantly kills him, he's going to come back up, but I don't know if that's even going to be enough, because J4 can just turn and just instantly kill him again. And what is... Oh my goodness. We're going full white girl this game. I can't even.
This is absolutely absurd.
Wow. just wow. That's all I can say.
Not only that, look at the timer for this game.
Yeah, we are almost an hour into this game. And with this being the second game, we can officially say this is the longest game of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament.
And right now, for the second game of this tournament, this is absolutely intense. Right now, the Dragon is going to be up in about a minute, but J4 sitting up in that top lane, Tyler656, he's the absolute biggest threat on his team. Lucian and Xerath.
He's the biggest threat on the map. I don't care what's going on. He's the biggest.
I wouldn't exactly say the map. If he lands his combo, then yes. But if he misses, but for any reason, he's actually like a deer caught out in the headlights, you know?
But he just... I don't know. After seeing him 1v4, I think I'm ready to say he's the biggest threat on the map. That's... I mean, he's just been instantly, as soon as he gets in, just instantly killing Lucian or Xerath or both, and just there's been no response. They can't deal with it right now.
Let me see.
Wow, just what a game. 10 seconds until Dragon. We are over the 60-minute mark, and this is going to be another very important Dragon.
Tyler656 actually has the most gold in the game right now, sitting at 25,481 gold.
25,000 gold. What do you do with that much gold at this point? I mean, he's just showing off. Oh, but he's going to get hit by the Nautilus ultimate. The death sentence doesn't land, but he's not able to get a kill. And that is a shutdown for Xerath, and this could be disaster for Katsuo. And now Corki is going to get hooked in. A beautiful Lulu ultimate, but will it be enough? They get the kill onto just Thresh, and now Corki having to back away. That is 3 kills for Static, and this could be the game. We said that already once, but 60 seconds on Tyler to come back up, and they have just inhibitor towers in their way. So, and super minions are pushing in that top lane. The inhibitor just came up in mid will be coming up shortly in the top lane, but it doesn't matter. There's super minions getting underneath the Nexus Tower, and now Lissandra going to get in onto the Corki, but having to back away. I don't know if they have enough to defend this. The first Nexus Tower is going down. There's going to be Xerath going in onto the Corki, not quite able to get the kill. Orianna doing what she can to defend, but the second Nexus Tower is down, and now they just have an open Nexus to go after. Zonia is being used for both Orianna and Lissandra. That is going to be a kill, getting picked up as the Nexus falls, and Static after 62 minutes, and despite Tyler656's best efforts, able to pick up the victory. What a phenomenal game this was. That was just unbelievable game, unbelievable play, and just wow. I am so glad that we got to watch this game. That's going to be a very tough act to follow, but we do still have one more game coming up tonight.
Oh, man.
Wow. What a game. That was just so incredible. Alright guys, we are going to be back in just a moment. Get a couple words from some Hitbox sponsors, and we will be coming back shortly with the final game of tonight, of the first day of the first week of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament. Stick around.
Oh. What was all that noise before? Yo.
Well, now's when we find out if those of you watching can hear us while ads are running. If you can hear us talking, say so in the chat.
Not only that, turn off ad block. Yes, you can. You're in this room. Like and master, turn off ad block. Turn off ad block to save the scuttle crabs.
You guys have match information in channel.
Mm-hmm. It's doing that to me too.
All right, and we are now back, and wow, that's going to be a tough act for TFEU, and I believe it is Warriors Anonymous to follow. Just such an incredible game from the first game of the Division B. This is also a Division B matchup, so whoever wins this game will be tied at the top of Division B with Static. So, wow, I don't even know what to say after that game. That was just so incredible, so intense, so much fun to watch that game. Hopefully these two can deliver a similar showing.
So let's see, between these two teams, we have TFEU, and we have Flucko, Bellatrix, Tyrion the Imp 7, Stenazi the Great, and Tatanka 187.
I think it's Shaughnessy the Great.
Shaughnessy the Great. C Nasty the Great. I'm gonna stick with that.
I think it's Shaughnessy, you know, kind of like a, I don't know if it's Irish or Welsh or Scottish.
No idea.
Name.
No idea.
Over on Warriors Anonymous, we do have Moritis, Jack Sparrow 111, MKC Tanoku, Feedly, and AKA J Chu.
Cho.
Could be Cho.
Yeah.
We'll have to send messages to all the players individually after today and be like, so how is your summoner name pronounced? Just to be sure. But we see right away the first ban being that Nidalee. I'm gonna assume that's being taken away from the Feedly.
Nah, not at all. Totally being taken away from J-Cho. Caitlyn being picked away on the red team there. Warriors Anonymous, it's interesting to see what they might pick there. They do have a challenger player in Feedly. So
2 of them actually. J-Cho is also challenger.
Oh, is he? I did not know that. And it looks like John are going to be the second ban coming out of TFEU, and Warriors Anonymous banning out Lissandra. Janna, a very high tier support, one of the highly contested ones, since she does have a fantastic engage and fantastic peel for her team. Lissandra obviously being a very heavy engage champion, providing a lot of burst slows and a lot of stuns for her team. Irelia being the final ban coming out of TFEU. A little surprised to see that being banned out, actually. Not a lot of people actually have been opting to play Irelia lately, since there have been a slew of other more powerful top laners as of late. Waiting on the
definitely
final
a little surprising.
Ban.
A little surprising again to see the Janna ban come out, and wow, that is a very surprising ban. Oh, you know what? I think they may have banned him to just get the CLG bans.
Yeah.
Coming out for Warriors Anonymous.
Well, in any case, they do have Flucko, who's sitting on that Sejuani. Sejuani, obviously the highest tier jungler at the moment. And it looks like they're hovering over that Garen. I don't think that's going to be a Garen. Nah.
I would love if it was Garen. Garen is one of my favorite champions in the game, if only because he was the first champion I ever played. And so, kind of has that nostalgic feeling going for me, but it is actually going to be switched out to a Hecarim as well as a Rengar. So we'll have to see which one of those two is going to end up in a lane and who's going to be taking up residency in the jungle.
It's going to be Rengar jungle. Call it a hunch.
It could be Rengar top. I have seen Rengar top, and I have seen it do disturbingly well.
However,
it's so annoying because...
What?
I was gonna say it's so annoying to have a Rengar top, because all he does is just sit in that top bush and jump out for an auto attack, and then go back in the bush and jump out for an auto attack. It's just really, really annoying to play against.
Annoying, but not quite as effective as someone like a Hecarim, because Hecarim has dedicated escapes.
But it's still fun, and that's what League of Legends is all about. Of course, maybe not so much when there's $10,000 on the line, but, So Jinx and Leona going to be picked up for the blue team, getting that bottom lane solidified early on, along with their Sejuani. So already a very tanky team again. That's been a theme so far today. Yeah, every game has had some really tanky teams coming out. But looks like Warriors Anonymous might be breaking that trend, as Hecarim and Rengar not necessarily the tankiest of characters. And especially with Vel'Koz being hovered here. What else they are looking to grab?
If that Vel'Koz does go mid, that means Feedly actually drew out a Nidalee ban for no reason. Think about it.
If that's assuming that Feedly is even going to be... What?
It's time!
Oh my goodness! Urgot getting locked in by Feedly. Feedly just became my favorite player in this tournament right there. That right there just made Feedly my absolute favorite person. Oh man, I am officially excited.
Italy probably taking some pointers from Keen, who played Urgot mid against TSM earlier this week.
I'm so happy. Like, I would love if Urgot made a comeback, and by comeback I mean first back, I guess. I mean, he's been bottom tier for so long. For the longest time, he had the lowest win rate in the game, lowest pick rate, everything. But he's actually not terrible anymore. He's been steadily getting like small buffs to him like over time, and he's finally just like at a playable state. And we're gonna be seeing it coming out here in the third and final game of today for the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament, and actually going to be Gangplank and Kennen, another very unconventional pick in the Gangplank. So is this shaping up to be a fun match?
Yeah, this definitely is going to be really interesting to see. As we can see right now, Gangplank not exactly one of those champions that you see picked a lot, you know. But it looks like if they do take that Zyra, oh no, that's actually going to switch over maybe to Morgana. Morgana would be a little more favorable. At least that's what I believe as a support. But they have a Kennen that's going to be potentially going mid lane and Gangplank potentially going top lane. That's going to be providing a lot of burst. I don't really see how the team fighting is going to work except from Leona, Sejuani, and Kennen and Jinx. That Gangplank just kind of stands out. I assume he's just going to be one of those split pushers, throw down his ultimate whenever his team gets into a fight and just constantly push a single lane, almost like a Tryndamere. But it looks like this is going to be the final matchup here. It's going to be Sejuani, Jinx, Leona, Kennen, and Gangplank coming out of TFEU, and Rengar Hecarim, Ahri, Urgot, of all things, and Annie coming out of Warriors Anonymous.
Yeah, that is going to be the teams getting locked in. So just a couple more seconds from this trade around and get their summoner set before we head on over and take a look at that. But definitely some unconventional picks coming out. Both Gangplank and Urgot coming through, along with the Hecarim. That's going to be a really fun team to watch. Hecarim, Rengar, Urgot. Just, I don't know. I'm really curious to how well that's going to work. But I'm really excited to see it too. We are now in that 3-minute delay. So, getting to take a look at the summoner spells, we see that top lane will very likely be the Hecarim versus Gangplank. Hecarim opting to take an Ignite instead of a Flash. Which, you know, you don't always see Hecarim with Flash, but a lot of times it's because he takes a Ghost instead for that extra move speed. But opting to have the Flash for him in lane. And then, of course, that mid lane matchup should be the Kennen going up against Ahri, both using the Ignite. The junglers of Sejuani and Rengar, and then the bottom lane matchup of Jinx and Leona versus the Urgot and Annie. Annie also bringing an Ignite. That's 3 Ignites coming out from Warriors Anonymous to go up against TFEU, sorry. And that's a lot of Ignite. There's going to be a lot of people on fire this game.
I am just still a little bit in shock at the fact that they actually went ahead and picked the Urgot. I suppose if you are really good with a particular champion, your best bet is actually to go ahead and play them in whatever role you see fit. Taking some advice there from Keen from the Team Gravity, who's currently in the LCS, who played Urgot against TSM and did fairly well against them as Urgot.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it's going to work out for Warriors Anonymous. Of course, one more time, this is the final game for the first day of the first week of the League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament. This is a 9-week tournament, so it's a league style, just set up very similar to the LCS, just with some divisions going on. And each team will be playing in twice against each opponent in their division, and then 1 game against a non-divisional opponent to make their 9 matches. And at the end of the 9 weeks, the top team in each division will be playing in the semifinals and finals at the League of Legends East Coast Convention being held in Fredericksburg, Virginia in the middle of June. Make sure you head on over to esportshq.com/LEC2 You get all the information about the convention. Information about the tournament is also available there as well. So you can check out who's on each team, follow each team, and make sure you tune in for the rest of the games throughout this week and the future weeks. But we are just about ready to get on into the loading screen, see what the teams are bringing for appearances onto the Rift.
One more thing to add on to what you were saying. We're also going to be there, so if you guys want to meet the casters, want to meet the staff behind the production that you guys are seeing right now, we will actually be in Fredericksburg, Virginia to go ahead and cast the finals of L.A.S.T and L.A.S.T squared live in that convention hall.
Also, speaking of production team, we promise the production will be getting better as we go on. We'll be adding more and more neat, nifty, fun things for your viewing pleasure. But we are now onto the loading screen, which does mean we get to look at the introductions on TFEU.
Oh my god.
We have Flucko with Bear Cavalry Sejuani. Belich, wow. Okay, my game just loaded in instantly.
Yeah, so did mine. Pay no mind to those borders.
So, Bellatrix going to be playing the Firecracker Jinx, Tyrion the Imp 7 on the Leona, Shaughnessy the Great playing Kennen in the mid lane, and Tatanka 187 in the top lane on Gangplank.
And we have Moridas playing Hecarim at top lane, Jack Sparrow 111 playing Rengar in the jungle, MKC Tonoku playing Ari in the mid lane, Fiddly on Urgot as AD carry, and AKJ Cho as the Annie support. Also, I'm a very big fan of that Urgot skin. He is playing Butcher Urgot, a skin that not a lot of people actually have or even know exists.
My personal favorite is still the Crab God, but Butcher Urgot is a very good one as well.
So,
and actually, it is a sub from the most recent updated rosters. It is a sub on the side of Warriors Anonymous. Their mid laner, their last roster update had its Tigger as a mid laner with MKC Tanoku as one of their subs. So we'll have to see if the last sub that played had one hell of a performance. We'll have to see if MKC Tanoku can match that. So, gonna have to see how this game starts off. Both teams just kind of hanging out. Nothing really doing so far. Two very different styles you can see as Warriors Anonymous is all grouped up in this bush, maybe looking for an invade. We'll have to see, but TFEU is very much spread out all across the map, just making sure that they can see where anybody might be coming from. But now we see Warriors Anonymous is going to be backing away into their jungle, and we should be having a pretty standard start.
So I'd say you shouldn't watch this. You don't need to spectate, Feely. You can just watch us and our beautiful voices casting this. And it looks like Urgot is going to be maybe almost taking the Grop. No, he's actually not going to take it. Rengar is going to be able to secure that, hit that level 2. Surprised to see that he's actually starting with the blue side. Maybe going to be looking to invade that Sejuani when she does go ahead and try and do her blue buff. Even though that in itself is extremely risky, but Annie going to be doing her job as the support Annie, pushing these guys out of the way of the minions and freezing as best as possible. And it looks like Urgot with a little bit of BM there, and he's just going to try and land those Qs onto the Jinx.
Yeah, this is going to be very aggressive, looks like, from Warriors Anonymous in this bottom lane, as they're just playing on the opposite side of the minions. Just really going to be zoning people out.
So,
in that,
what do you think right now between Urgot and Jinx? He's sitting at 11 CS to her nothing.
Yeah, definitely a big advantage for Urgot. And look at that, as soon as Jinx tries to get close, just getting poked out so hard by this Urgot. And wow, this could get bad very quickly if this continues. We do see more harassment. They're already up underneath the tower, And this is where Jinx is really going to have to play well if she wants to stay relevant in this lane, to be able to farm up underneath the turret, which, you know, she's doing a decent job of thus far, but still very troublesome right now, as although Urgot is starting to get low on mana, but it's still going to be very, very dangerous for this Jinx in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Kennen going pretty aggressive in that mid lane, getting some good damage onto Ahri, but nothing really going to be coming of that trade.
Honestly, it's not at all surprising to see how low this Urgot is going in mana. He's very mana hungry, especially with the way he's been spamming his abilities. In the top lane, Hecarim and Gangplank actually fairly even. Hecarim maybe not even using any health or mana pots right now. And it looks like Annie
there's going to be an
the
engagement with the Zenith Blade onto the Annie, but now Urgot coming around, just focusing everything onto this Jinx, knocking her so low. And now Leona going to get dropped to under half health as well. And Jinx already going to be forced to recall here. And they are definitely going to be having some troubles keeping up with this Urgot. He's so far ahead already.
Oh, Jesus. This is going to be extremely interesting to see what happens in this bot lane. Urgot getting extremely far ahead. He's 28 CS to Jinx's 7. Meanwhile, in this mid lane, we see Kennen and Ahri doing fairly well against each other. Ahri slightly ahead in CS by about 10. Top lane starting to also even out there. Hecarim only 2 CS up on this Gangplank. But
now, Gangplank started with Brawler's Gloves. Is he going to be going for that straight Crit Plank build?
Crit Plank is indeed going to be coming out this game. Or maybe he might go for Triforce Plank. Triforce Plank is also possible.
He's going to be getting ganked by the Rengar, though, jumping out of that bush. Here comes Hecarim charging in as well. Gangplank getting dropped very low, and that will be first blood going over to the Rengar, picking that up onto Gangplank. And that was a really well done lane gank. That's what Rengar, you always have to be careful of when you're dealing with a Rengar, because you can just get into that bush and get such huge range when jumping out of it.
So, and it looks like Annie going to be caught out here in the river. Is she going to go down? And she's going to miss
using that flash, trying to get damage onto the Jinx, but actually teleport coming in from Hecarim, but he does end up canceling it, and instead just going to recall back to base. But team's starting to move around this dragon, but no one really going too heavily at it. Only 6 minutes into this game. Rengar looking to try and make another gank, this time looking towards the mid lane.
Oh, and it looks like bot lane, we see Urgot and Jinx trading yet again. Urgot doing a ridiculous amount of damage. Rengar is just going to walk away from the mid lane, knowing that the Kennen probably has a good inclination, considering the way Ahri was positioning herself. He's just going to try and hit level 6 as soon as possible, go back, get some damage onto himself, and then go for those really intense Rengar ganks.
Yeah, we'll have to see what comes out as, again, just a huge lead for the Urgot right now, 40 to 14 CS. He picked up that Tear of the Goddess, while Jinx was only able to just now get a Vamp Scepter after her second recall. And the gold differential is already 500 for the Urgot, just 7 minutes into the game. He's going to be so far ahead. And really, the Sejuani's going to have to start trying to gank that bottom lane as frequently as she can the second that she hits level 6. Actually, Hecarim going to be making a gank up into the top lane. Gangplank's just going to be able to walk away from this one. But we see already a big difference in the junglers, too. I mean, Sejuani just hit level 5, while Hecarim's been level 6 now. So Rengar, yeah. I'm still flustered after the last game, I'm sorry. We do have... Right? But do you see Hecarim going to try and get engaged onto the Gangplank one more time, and gonna actually get a lot of damage. The Fear's gonna push Gangplank back away from his tower, and that's gonna be another kill getting picked up by Hecarim, and he's starting to pick up a pretty sizable lead up in that top lane as well. And especially because Gangplank already used that teleport himself, so to get back to lane the first time, he's not going to have it available, and Hecarim's going to be able to get some solid damage onto this tower and continue to grow that CS lead. Oh, or maybe not, because Gangplank just using that ultimate to clear out the minions.
The fact that Gangplank uses ultimate there, though, means that if the enemy team does decide to go for the dragon, there is absolutely no chance that they will be able to steal it without running the risk of losing at least one or two of their members. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we do see Urgot getting engaged on by Leona and Jinx. Meanwhile, Sejuani is right there around the back lines. Rengar coming in with his ultimate.
But here comes the Rengar. That's going to be Rengar getting into the fight. The Annie trying to put a bunch of damage down. Urgot actually putting the damage down, but it's Annie that picks up the kill onto the Leona. It's a support going down, but now they're just going to dive underneath the tower. Rengar putting a lot of damage. He almost falls to the tower, but Annie picking up the triple kill for the support, and Urgot actually ends up going down to the Sejuani. So, looks like Annie is going to be the one carrying this game. She gets those 3 kills. Kennen coming in, putting down the ultimate, trying to get the damage onto Rengar. He jumps back in and ends up falling because of it. Not the best of decisions there from the Rengar, but there's Ahri making her rotation on down and picking up the cleanup kill onto Kennen. All in all, ended up being a fight very well in favor of Warriors Anonymous, and now Ahri's going to put a little bit of extra damage onto that bottom tower.
But yeah, I don't really know about that Ahri going ahead and using her flash there to try and get the kill. She could just use her Spirit Rush since Kennen did not have his flash up anymore. So, but all in all, that was still really good in favor of Warriors Anonymous, except for the fact that Urgot only got 3 assists instead of 3 kills, you know?
Feeder got coming being mentioned, as we do see the Hecarim and really every lane just being ahead right now for Warriors Anonymous, as Hecarim, Ahri, and Urgot all have CS leads, and now this poor Sejuani going to be getting caught, trying to dash over and getting stopped. What a beautiful play. Hecarim and Rengar combining for that kill, and Hecarim is just starting to get really big now. 2-0-1 for the Horsemen.
Yeah, that was extremely unfortunate for that Sejuani. Oh, and it looks like they're going to be going for the dive.
Hecarim's going to be diving underneath the tower. Rengar actually just throwing down a safety bola just in case Gangplank continued to try and go that way, but Gangplank very wisely actually going back up into his tower, dropping the ultimate just in case as well, but keeping himself alive. That's what's really important. But now it looks like Hecarim and Rengar might be looking to come in to the mid lane onto this Kennen, possibly. Just have to see. Or Hecarim, nope, just going to recall in their jungle.
Yeah, that was unfortunate there for the Hecarim. A kill might have been gotten there, but the Rengar was just a little too far off there for them to actually be able to secure it. One thing to note as well, Urgot and Annie are sitting at level 7. Jinx and Leona are level 5.
Yeah, this is the bottom lane is just really turning into a bad situation for TFEU, and Urgot just sitting at almost 100 CS already, keeping up with his mid laner, and Jinx only at 27. That's a massive CS discrepancy, and it's going to just continuously lead to Urgot just being further and further ahead. Every time they go for a trade, Urgot's going to be ahead. Every time an engagement happens, Urgot's going to be ahead. And unless Jinx can pick up some kills here and there, there's really not much that you can do about being that far behind.
That is very true. And the fact that she's also not getting any solo lane experience like you would normally see for somebody who might be in the situation where the 2v1 in the bot lane would actually be rough, they would actually go ahead and switch it up so that the top laner would be against the AD carry. That would have been a lot better for her because she would not only get the solo experience, but she would also be able to secure a lot of farm for herself without really having the danger of being poked down like she has been in the bot lane. But this is extremely big of a CS difference, 108 to 32 right now. And she hasn't even been able to purchase a BF sword yet. It's going to be really hard for this Jinx to get herself back into this game. Same thing for Leona. Leona only sitting on a side stone. Actually, it probably has more gold than her AD carry.
There's going to be Rengar getting the snare onto the Sejuani with that bola, but now Kennen coming in for the help. He gets stunned up by the Tibbers, and now Rengar's just going to jump back. That's going to be a dead Kennen. The ultimate from Gangplank coming down, and here comes the horse jumping over the wall, picking up a kill onto Sejuani. That is 2 kills for Warriors Anonymous, but there was 1 kill picked up as Annie did fall in the process. So A 2-for-1 in Warriors Anonymous' favor, but they're not done with this yet, as they're going to make their way down bottom, and they're just going to completely collapse onto that duo lane of TFEU and pick themselves up 2 more kills. 11-3 for Warriors Anonymous right now, and they're just really just in control. I mean, it's not a huge lead in terms of kills, but you're looking at almost a 5,000 gold lead just 13-14 minutes into this game, and that's going to be very difficult to come back from, as now finally the first dragon going to get picked up here 14 minutes in favor of Warriors Anonymous.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous, the fact that they were able to just secure so many kills around the map right now. Jinx sitting at 42 CS to Urgot's 118. This is honestly the matchup to watch. Jinx sitting at a total of 2,700 gold. Urgot sitting at a total of almost 5,000, so it's really unfortunate for her. Meanwhile, Hecarim going to be caught out here. Is he going to be the first kill for this Jinx? Nope.
Nope. Going to be getting out of there. The zap hitting
amazing.
Does he taste like raisins, though? That's the real question.
Yes, he does. He does taste like raisins.
But Zap caught a minion there, so Hecarim was able to just gallop on out of there.
So, right now, I wouldn't I wouldn't have given over the red buff to that Jinx just yet. She needs to ramp herself up a little bit, get some more damage under her belt. She still does not have a BF sword. She's sitting only on a pickaxe and a vamp scepter, so not a lot of damage going to be coming out of that Jinx just yet. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we do see Hecarim already finish that Triforce and the Ninja Tabi with the Home Guard enchantment, so whenever this Hecarim does choose to teleport, he's going to be a very, very fast pony.
Yeah, those recall into the Home Guard teleports, we've seen it make so many plays in the LCS, at IEMs, and it's very likely going to come out here as now, oh boy. Rengar just going to hop out of the bush onto the Sejuani. Meanwhile, Hecarim actually diving under the tower onto Gangplank and just going to switch up targets and dash over onto Sejuani. Oh, poor Boar. Bristle is just not having a good day right now. As now they're going to be looking to dive the Gangplank underneath this tower, push down the ultimate, but it's going to be nowhere near enough as all of Warriors Anonymous is just collapsing, and Kennen is going to fall as well. 14-3 in favor of Warriors Anonymous. They're just roaming across this map so incredibly well.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous at this point. Only 16 minutes into the game, and it's already 14-3 in favor of Warriors Anonymous. This Hecarim doing so much in this top lane, but this Rengar participating in a total of 11 out of their 14 kills.
Yeah, Rengar has been all over the map. Actually, Urgot gonna find the Jinx by herself, but not for long, as Leona does show up to make sure that she stays alive. And she's just, again, almost 100 CS behind right now. Urgot still doesn't have a kill, so he is still 0-1, but that CS lead just keeping Jinx completely out of this game. She hasn't been able to really do anything either in lane or to help the team. Is, oh my goodness, that damage from Ahri's Orb of Deception. The Flash Charm does not hit onto Kennen. Does able to get back to his turret. Meanwhile, though, Annie going to be just roaming the enemy jungle, finding Sejuani. Ahri rotating on around as well with Urgot. Will this be Urgot's first kill? There it is. 17 minutes in, Urgot finally picking himself up a kill.
So
they just...
seems to be the story of this game so far, people getting caught and people getting nuked down. They're just really unfortunate. One thing I actually don't like about what Sejuani has in terms of items is that she rushed the Merc Treads. She's the tank, she's going to be in the middle of those fights regardless. I would have actually maybe opted for something that gave her a little bit more damage, that way she actually might be able to secure some kills for her team. Maybe like a Sword Shoes. Rip Jinx.
Oh, yeah, Jinx, you're not getting out of that one. Urgot actually going to be pulling the Leona back into the team, and that is going to be a second kill getting picked up. Gangplank did pick up the tower up in top lane, so one tower down, but Hecarim going so aggressive, diving underneath the inhibitor tower and getting his Ahri another kill. Meanwhile, he's underneath the inhibitor. Gonna get beaten up by the Sejuani. The smite going down, but he's still a Hecarim. He's so fast. Just charges back in. And now he can't get out over the wall yet. He's waiting for that dash. But Jinx with the Mega Death Rocket picking herself up a kill. And that is unfortunate for the Hecarim. He knew he couldn't get out through the inhibitor, and no one on his team wanted to tank up a tower for him.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Meanwhile, though, Gangplank has been just idly pushing this top lane. He's about to pick up a second tower up in this lane, so split push crit plank gonna be getting a second tower in favor of TFEU.
Like I said before, that Gangplank is probably just gonna be split pushing while his team does all the fighting for him. To be honest, not much he could really do at this point. He's only sitting on a Trinity Force and an Avarice Blade.
Yeah, looking at the gold differential, about almost 10,000 gold here, 20 minutes in. And again, just complete control from Warriors Anonymous. They have been just roaming the map so well, moving, between lanes, finding kills wherever they go. As now Annie actually could be getting collapsed on here. That's going to be 3 members just jumping in and instantly blowing her up. Kennen actually burning the flash for that, but he did get the kill, so hashtag worth.
Yeah, but it was just on the support. It was not on any of the champions that are on the red team, that are on Warriors Anonymous, that really are having as much of an impact right now.
To be fair, Annie was 3-1 and 5. I mean, she has the similar score to the rest of the team.
Urgot, he tried to take the red buff that was rightfully his, and it was smited away by the Sejuani BM.
I don't know if I'd say rightfully his, but that is going to be Warriors Anonymous picking up their second dragon of the game. And now they may be looking to collapse in on to TFEU.
As it seems right now, Rengar's gonna find a ulti.
Oh, Rengar's, yeah. Rengar popping that ultimate and being like, oh boy, that's not good. As he's trying to back away, but here comes the Hecarim going to be charging in with Ahri, and Kennen not quite getting picked up by the Orb Reception, but Urgot finds himself a kill. Meanwhile, down this bottom lane, Urgot is just finding 3 members there, but Sejuani gonna try and dash away. Hecarim, though, he's already shown he doesn't care about this inhibitor tower. He's gonna continue diving. Will he continue trying to get her before she gets to the fountain? He does, and Annie, and he gets the ace. Hecarim just barely staying alive, and that is an ace for Warriors Anonymous here. They're gonna push in, take this inhibitor. There's only a few seconds because death timers are so short, only 20 minutes in. That's all they're gonna be able to get for now as they do back out. Actually, looks like they may want to look up towards this middle inhibitor, but their minions just got cleared out, so not gonna be able to take that just yet.
Yeah, so one thing to note, actually, this Hecarim just barely surviving. He is 8-1 and 8 right now, by far the most fed member of his team. And he went ahead, opted to buy a spare Vis. And look, yeah, it looks like he's going to be going for that Frozen Heart. He really doesn't need any more damage at this point. He's sitting on that Trinity Force, that's plenty of damage for him. And he's just going to get extremely tanky and get even harder to kill.
Yeah, I mean, he's already been diving towers constantly. And so having this extra armor that he's now picking up is going to help him just be able to continue to do that. As now he's finding 3 members of TFEU. He's going to pick up the Jinx. And look at that. He's so tanky. They're just having difficulty killing him. And he's just going to be, kiting them back away. Urgot is coming down to help, but here comes Kennen. They should be able to pick up the Hecarim. They do indeed. Urgot wanting to be able to kill. Here's the ultimate from Kennen being used. It's going to stun up the Urgot. He's getting a lot of damage onto him. This could be Kennen picking up a kill. There's the ultimate from Urgot just to stall things out. But will it be enough? And Urgot gets the kill. 1-on-1 against the Kennen. Oh boy, the Urgot. 4-1 and 8 now, after having a 0-1 start and not having a kill for the longest time, managing to get himself a total of 4 now. And that's the thing about this Warriors Anonymous team. Other than... Oh, actually, Ahri... Nope, she's going to be able to back away from there. But other than Hecarim having 9 kills, the kills are very evenly spread out across their team. They're not putting all of their eggs into one basket, as we've seen in previous games. And now actually Sejuani gonna get over on, pick up the kill onto the Rengar. However, Ahri did kill the Jinx and is now going to also grab the Leona. Meanwhile, Kennen gonna try and get himself a kill on the Ahri. Sejuani gonna jump over the side, but she is so low on health, she needs to be careful. The charm is going to land and get the kill as the Gangplank picks up the kill onto Ahri. Kennen still just trying to defend his base. Hecarim now kind of stuck inside with them.
Yet again.
Not able to, waiting for that dash again to try and get over the wall. He's gonna instead use it to engage on the Kennen. Kennen's just gonna pop that Zhonya's, and there's the kill for Gangplank. 2-4 and 2 for him, but now Urgot. Oh, actually, Gangplank got ulted by Urgot, but he ate an orange, and it was K.
And apparently, we call this Hecarim Pony Cena.
And Annie, split pushing Annie. That's not the most common of uses for that champion. But hey, yeah, she's got Tibbers to tank up tower for her. It's essentially two people. Or she's going to get collapsed on that crit from Gangplank. It's going to be a killing spree for Gangplank. And actually, TFEU not looking too bad considering how far behind they were. I mean, they still are pretty far behind, but they're at least able to pick up some kills now. But, oh boy,
there you go.
Rengar putting an end to the Gangplank's killing spree. But now Kennen and Leona just going to quickly put an end to Rengar. But Rengar still got 2 ultimates for that. I don't know if Leona really needed to use a Solar Flare. However, TFEU trying to clear out these minions in the bottom lane, the super minions pushing in, and of course these waves constantly crashing into the inhibitor tower. The inhibitor tower is down to about half health, but they do heal, so these constant little pokes from Warriors Anonymous is not going to be enough to take that tower down. They need to just get a dedicated push onto it if they want to make it fall.
Yeah, definitely, because one thing that Warriors Anonymous really has to do at this point of the game, they have to push for either an objective or make an actual hard push for the base instead of focusing so heavily on kills. There are absolutely no wards anywhere on the map in regards to objectives for TFEU. They can take whatever they want. They could have taken Baron twice by now.
Well, not really, because if they had taken Baron once, it wouldn't have respawned yet.
Shut up.
But, you know, wishful thinking. Well, did you see
know
they
what?
started
They
to
were
group up
supposed
near
to
the
take
Baron.
Baron at level 1, okay?
But they were grouped up near Baron, a couple of them, but it looks like instead the call has come out for them to go push in and maybe try and get that second inhibitor tower. Their bottom inhibitor is about to come back up, and actually there it is, respawning for them. And nope, now it looks like the call is once again being made for them to go towards Baron. There's no vision at all for TFEU on this objective, so this is going to be completely picked up free, unless Gangplank can drop that ultimate. But then Rengar should still be able to smite it away. But I don't think they have any idea that this is happening. And that is Baron being picked up here. 26 minutes in. Oh, there's really the Gangplank ultimate. A little too late. But hey, at least they know it's gone, I guess.
Hecarim found a cannon.
Yep, Hecarim found himself a Kennen. Where did Kennen find himself a Hecarim? Kennen is turning that around, forcing Hecarim to have to jump away, but now, Ahri gonna land that charm, and that's gonna be all she wrote for the Kennen. Meanwhile, Leona, she's in a bad spot here, trying to help out the Kennen, but just got there a little too late, and that's a double kill for the Ahri. Meanwhile, Gangplank doing some solid damage with that parlay. But Baron buffed minions pushing into this middle inhibitor tower. That is going to be going down in favor of Warriors Anonymous, picking up the inhibitor to go with it. They should be able to just rotate to the bottom inhibitor as well. And we could be seeing this game ending shortly because they are so strong. And we already know Hecarim has no problem with diving turrets. So, see if he wants to go underneath the Nexus turrets. They let Tibbers tank it up for a little bit. They're actually getting some solid damage off to that first Nexus tower, but instead they are backing off. But will they pull TFEU far enough away from those Nexus towers for them to engage? And actually, Hecarim, he really wants this, but not quite hard enough.
They're going to have to be extremely careful here. Despite the fact that they are super fed and extremely ahead, they really can't afford to make any mistakes. Hecarim getting
the
caught out
fight's
here.
starting out. There goes the Solar Flare from Leona, but it is still the TFEU taking a lot of damage. Jinx getting pulled out from tower range, and that is Urgot going to be picking up 1 kill, and Ahri actually getting the one onto Jinx. But that's 2 kills now with these Baron buffed super minions coming in to the Nexus towers. This could be all as Hecarim, there he goes, diving underneath the Nexus turrets. He gets the Zhonya's out of Kennen, but then Kennen still ends up falling. Ahri picking up another 2 kills. Tibbers going to be diving underneath the fountain. There goes Hecarim. He wants that kill. He gets the kill as he falls, but the Nexus does go down as well. Warriors Anonymous with a very convincing victory here, 28.5 minutes in. So they will be joining Static at the top of the Division B standings, sitting at 1-0. And that is going to just about do it for us. That's for today, at least. That's day 1 of the first week of League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern is when the first game of the day tomorrow begins. We will be having Zenith Esports going up against Dream Tech Gaming. So definitely going to be, we're in for a lot of very, very good games if today is any indication. We've got 9 weeks of games coming up for you guys, so make sure you tune in. Head on over to esportshq.com to be able to check out all the information about the tournament. You can find the schedule, standings. We're going to have highlights, and the videos of each game is going to be posted later tonight, possibly tomorrow morning, but everything will be available for you to rewatch. And make sure you head on over, check all that kind of fun stuff out. And that's going to do it for us for today.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today, and we hope you guys do return for tomorrow. Remember, guys, like you said before, the games are going to be Zenith Esports versus Dream Tech Gaming, and it's going to be Supernova versus Frank Fang Gaming. So 8:30, be there. Don't be a Timo, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next game for League of Legends Amateur Summoners Tournament.
One more time, I've been Tasty Bacon. That's been Cyber Owl. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Take care.